the Oddball guys made it about themselves yesterday. Like, it couldn't be about Jimmy Butler. It couldn't be about Miami. It couldn't be about the story. It had to be about Oddball. It had to be about how can Oddball trick a journalist? How can Oddball make a name for itself on basketball's big stage?
Oh, boy. This is how we're starting.
That's not even close to what we set out to do. What we set out to do was to honor and commemorate Jimmy Butler, and we wanted people to come up to us and share their thoughts on what a Jimmy Butler statue should look like. If there should be a Jimmy Butler statue, which most people agreed that there should.
You're saying us to me, and I don't remember you there.
Well, I produced the show.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, like, what that was the show objective, was to have people come up and talk to us about a statue. Should there be a statue? I feel like most people, Izzy, were supportive of a statue.
Very supportive.
Nobody said no
statue.
statue.
Us, yeah.
I mean,
we're looking at the options.
Where did you find the gentleman, the artist? Where did you find him?
Oh, he's known. He's known in circles.
He's from the opposite side of the world.
He came from all over across the world. He's made statues to some very famous people, right?
I don't remember the names though.
One was Abdul Khalif Mukhtar, and then the other one was Sharon Stone.
Ooh.
And so
Diversity.
Yeah, he's been around. He's done a lot of great work around the world, and we got him, and he was gracious to do it. It's just a lookbook. It wasn't really. He wasn't like sculpting right in frst of us.
Sharon Stone because Stone.
I mean, you got to ask him. I don't know. But the point is, Dan.
Give it a second at least. Jesus.
The point is, the point is that that's what was the aim, and then the team was approached by a journalist who was very fascinated by the work of Akbar, and so he talked to Akbar, and
But this was Jeremy's friend, and this was embarrassing. Like, what happened?
For whom?
What for whom?
It's never whom.
But what do you mean for Jeremy's friend? This is.
I thought you were saying it was embarrassing for me because Jeremy's friend, a South Florida journalist, did not recognize me. That was
bad.
he recognized Akbar.
I mean, it was a bad thing for everyone involved, right? That no one here who's of note was recognized, and that journalism is clearly very, very dead.
And maybe
Again,
we're not
Billy,
as famous
I was
as we
the
think
only
we are.
one here.
Well, Akbar's very famous. He got interviewed by the media last night, so he's famous.
Well, he had a giant sign in front of him that basically said, "Come interview me."
I don't know.
How could you guys? I know it's Oddball. I get it. It's Oddball. I get it. But how could you guys make Jimmy Butler about you the way that you did yesterday by creating news? By creating news that appeared in the Sun Sentinel, doing so, making the day about you.
Allow me, if I may.
Please.
See, Dan is seeing this through his Dan glasses. In Dan's world, how can I make guys, I got to dress up like a chicken and then say something controversial, and then people pay attention. That's how you do it. The way we do it is we actually go out and try to do the show, and then accidentally, and this is how it used to be, guys. Things would go. Remember Boom Goes to Dynamite? That guy didn't show up that night and say, I'm going to say Boom Goes to Dynamite, and then everyone on the internet is going to talk about me. He was just trying to do his job, but the way he did his job was so magnifique that it went viral. Now you got guys like Dan Le Batard clickbaiting, trying to go viral. Let me say something crazy now. I'm dressed like Pirates of the Caribbean.
If it happens behind a paywall at the Sun Sentinel, did it happen?
Wait, but you
no, it
can read
wasn't.
it for like 5 seconds before the paywall comes up, so you can get like a different graph each time.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. If it happened behind the Sun Sentinel paywall, did it actually happen? That was a surgical slice by Billy Gill.
What do you mean?
You know, the crazy thing is there were comments underneath, and I thought for sure the comments underneath the tweet are going to be like, dude, that's not Akbar Domestique. That's someone else. And no, everyone's like, I don't know why Jimmy Butler should have a statue.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Dress too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but man's keep walking. Stop that. Stop that.
Does the audio not work? No. Okay. See if you guys can get the audio up there so that we can. Jessica, why does that delight you? You've got a little Billy in you on a Wild Willy Wednesday.
Billy?
That we can't get even the simplest things right. Is that what's making you laugh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So sound is important in this medium, as you guys know. So if you're trying to set up a joke, you need to have sound with the video. We've been working hard on the video.
So perfect.
The sound is sort of a problem at the moment. Jimmy Butler last night. That entire spectacle, the entirety of it, was sad. I was made sad by all of it. And
which part specifically?
That a relationship that was good with everyone involved can't even shake hands at the end. Like that can't be, that the money would get that corrosive. Look, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories here because allow me here to get here because it's going to take a second. But the nature of competitive people, okay? My brother was very competitive, okay? That's an impossible industry. Art, selling shit out of the back of your car, fighting for money because you want to do what you dream about. And at the end of his career, because somebody was getting in the way of his money, there was an 80-year-old man who runs a company that my brother was ready to fight, physically fight, because of whatever competitive is at the most competitive. Jimmy Butler is 1,000,000 times more competitive than my brother, and I think Pat Riley is more competitive than that. And those two dudes want to fight. And I imagine the marketing meeting where Riley's coming into the room and telling everybody, I know we want to be class and everything, but can we say at the end, and also bleep you, Jimmy, at the end of the video. I don't know. I want to know who talked Riley into doing that. It had to be the Harrisons. I'm going to find out because I don't know what you guys made of the emotion of that, but it wasn't just that the game was a bummer. It's that, man, that was a good relationship. That was a good relationship for everyone involved. And the money gets in the way like that.
Competitiveness is overrated as just a value to have, right? Because it ruins a lot of things. It ruins relationships. It ruins a lot. And when you talk about somebody like Steph Curry, for example, who's kind of in, the center of their universe, what do people say about him? I mean, what do people say about Steph all the time? First thing they say.
Nice guy.
Great guy. Yeah. Jimmy Butler said in a story by Anthony Slater in The Athletic, he's real, right? He just treats everybody really nice. That's not like a skill. Right? That's something that you can just do to people, right? And so when you watch the end of that game or beginning of that game where they don't shake hands, I mean, nobody, Bam walks past him as if he was a stranger. And then after the game, they have, not only does Jimmy just kind of slink off and go back to the back without talking to any Heat players, what does every single Warrior do that played with Andrew Wiggins, including Steph Curry, who had already gone back to the locker room, came back out to talk to Andrew Wiggins. Why? Nice guy. People love him. How is that not so telling about as much as we enjoyed this Jimmy Butler experience for 5+ years, it was always going to be that because that's who he is. And I'm sorry for the Warriors, but at some point he's going to be that there too.
Wow, are you calling the shot now?
Well, I mean, it's, you know what? I take that back. Steph Curry could be that powerful of an alien that his power of friendship is just more, stronger than everybody else's. But it's just it was the relationship between Miami and Jimmy Butler in a nutshell last night.
But what are we doing? He didn't leave on good terms. And again, we've made it about the root cause, which is true. I think the money, but. In his pursuit, he burned bridges inside. Before he was out of here, he burned bridges with people that he played with. And so, I didn't look at that and they're not saying hello. I'm like,
but that normally happens. The issues between the player and management, it's usually, hey, I'm dunking and I'm yelling at the GM on the sideline. This was just icy. This was worse than Kobe Shaq because it was nobody on that team that Jimmy wanted to talk to. Nobody on the Miami Heat team.
Can I talk to you guys about the idea of proud men being disrespected? Because when I tell you that Shaq wanted to fight Pat Riley at the end over money and disrespect, when the conversation is, and all of this starts with Jimmy saying, and I would have taken us to the finals if I hadn't been injured, and Pat Riley publicly saying, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. The word shut your mouth on disrespect of a proud man when I tell you that my brother wanted to fight an 80-year-old and Jimmy Butler, whatever he was doing in private, that's where disrespect started. And so he enters the game yesterday saying, I've got nothing to say to Pat, and he better not have anything to say to me.
What? What is he going to do?
Are
Punch
you
an 80-year-old?
kidding me?
Like, what is that?
What's an 80-year-old going to do? Punch him? Like, this is a ridiculous scenario in which neither person is actually going to fight the other. I'd love to see them fight. I really would.
No, you wouldn't.
I would
No, you
absolutely
wouldn't.
love
No,
to see
no,
them fight.
no.
This is tough guy bullshit that they're both going back and forth. I'll fight him. I'll fight him. And neither one of them wants to actually fight the other.
What's Pat said?
I would love for Jeremy, please. I would love for everyone to just kind of stop being the guy that holds the other one back, and everyone just would be like, you know what, guys, go. Let's resolve this exactly
I'm
how
with
you guys
Billy.
want to, and
I agree with
see
you.
what happens there. Because neither one of them would
Let's
actually
fight.
fight the other one. Let them fight. See how it goes. Because neither one of them will hit the other one.
Jeremy was so excited about today, and with 2 words in 7 minutes, you have crushed him, Billy.
Not me.
Nothing can crush me.
He was so annoying. I walk into the makeup room this morning and he's like, "This was the best night of my whole year." And I was like,
His life.
"You were fist
I didn't say
bumping
my
a
life.
buzzer beater like a month ago.
Yeah.
Like, don't act like this is the only Heat game that's made you happy."
I
this
was
year.
fist pumping my own interview.
He said this
skills, okay?
was better than my wedding day. He said.
Yeah,
to
we
us.
all believe that, Jeremy.
I told my wife that last night.
Honey, are you watching this? Isn't this better than our anniversary? No, look, I don't know if the word fight came out of anyone's mouth. You guys are making a leap here, right? When he says, you better not have anything to say to me, it's not, or I'll punch him in the face. It's, or I'll say things that have been behind the scenes that no one has revealed that I will reveal. And I think both parties kind of feel like, hey, I could have made this a lot worse if I talked about the way you guys did this or the way you did that. But I'm trying to take the high road. They're both trying to do that. And, it is what it is.
No one's trying to take the high road here.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. Get out of here.
Dude, they're not taking the low road is what I'm telling you.
They're not taking the low road, but
Okay.
like when he puts out a tweet of Andrew Wiggins saying hi to all of his teammates and then puts something along the lines in the caption of "great to see a former player go and make up with his coach and teammates," like, come on.
Yeah,
You're
Pat
not
did-
trying to take the high road.
Well, they
didn't tweet
definitely
that.
didn't. I mean, look, that intro video was half-baked. It didn't have like the play-by-play. It didn't have the celebration. Oh, Miami Heat win the Eastern Conference Championship. Didn't have any. Didn't have quotes from Jimmy Butler showing his
I wonder why.
personality and everything else.
I wonder why the quotes weren't there.
They
Is it
also-
because they were all lies?
They also don't normally do that. Jeremy, please. They also don't normally do that in the intros because they want it to build up a little bit, right? And they do that as the after the first break. You're coming
And also
back
because no one's there.
because no one's there. That's another
hold on.
reason.
That building was packed. Now, 40% of them were
Normally
Warriors
no one's
fans.
there.
There were a lot of Steph Curry jerseys. Can we
Ton,
talk about
dude.
that?
Curry jerseys.
Look, we thought the Warriors fans were going to be like, yeah, Jimmy Butler's going to – it was – no, they're like, Jimmy who? No, Steph Curry. 90%
And most of those
them
fans,
speak English.
yeah, 90% of the Steph Curry fans didn't speak English. This man is an international megastar. Jimmy Butler's just another teammate to them.
It's still the Beatles. Dan, I get it. They're like the 7th seed or whatever they are in the West. They're still the Beatles. People still show up, and they show up early to watch that guy warm up.
But I mean, come on. Like, if I told you in some incarnation of the future, there's going to be a bunch of human beings who are unbelievably athletic, but one is an actual wizard, floats around the court and does something that no one's ever been able to do. Like, everyone who comes internationally to watch Steph Curry, just because you watch the games every night and know that you're no longer amazed by something amazing doesn't mean that you're watching something. It's not in sports. It might as well be God coming to life and appearing before you because it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can't imagine anything better than that either at that size.
I'm not desensitized by his magic, but I am surprised that a team that has fallen from grace, relative to where they once were, still attracts the traveling caravan of people from across the globe to just glimpse him. Dan,
They don't even have to. He doesn't even have to play.
there was so much media at the game that Heat PR had to seat us like in the stands. That's how many people were there. And as I'm sitting there, Dan, I'm hearing people. They know he's not playing. When he came to sit on the, hey, there he is. Where? Look over there. Look over to the left. And like they were losing their mind at just glimpsing him sit down.
I didn't recognize that nationality.
Well,
Other side of the world.
Foreign.
global.
International. It could be from anywhere.
Do we have the oddball clip here and I just learned before the show that, The Sun Sentinel reporter did not know that this was you. I just want to be clear.
Just play the
Is
clip,
he? He
Dan.
knew it was his.
All right, go ahead and play the clip.
You make show.
I do. I make a show, yes.
What's name show?
Oddball. Odd. Like strange, weird.
Odd.
Like, yeah.
Odd.
Ball.
Oddball.
Ball.
Oddball.
Ball is life.
Art is life. Life is art.
I do a show with somebody called Amin El Hassan. Amin El Hassan.
Amin is a very good name. Amin. It means trust. Amin, trust.
Oh, okay.
Trust, yes.
In Amin we trust.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Hello.
Hello.
He's magical. Talk about Steph Curry being magical. Akbar is magical.
Was that Borat?
No, that's Akbar Domestique.
Just to be clear, I know he's got some French accessories.
I don't believe he's
not
French. I don't believe
not
he's French.
I asked him a million times. He's not French.
Remember we had some guys from Congo.
That's right.
Approach him and
Jonathan Kaminga's cousin.
Jonathan Kaminga's cousin came up and tried to say
Jeremy,
what's up.
what happened to your friend? What happened to your friend from the Sun Sentinel?
Well, it seems like he wrote an article about, according to Amin, a very real artist that was out there trying to get a Jimmy Butler statue created. And if that artist wasn't real, then it might have been a bit mean-spirited to go unrecognized and fool a journalist.
Well, since Amin wasn't there, I'll explain what happened. Akbar and I were sitting there trying to get fans' votes on which Jimmy Butler statue pose we should pick, right? Because I told everybody, hey, things are going to ease off cool down between the Heat and Jimmy Butler, and they're going to put a statue up there. And so, what were the options again? They were Jimmy Butler was tired.
So first of all, Akbar worked tirelessly on this. We should take a second to thank him for all of his work that he did pro bono, by the way. It doesn't until the statue actually gets made. He doesn't get paid.
He made all that money from the Sharon Stone statue.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Akbar.
Thank you, Akbar. Thank you, Akbar. So Mr. Domestique came up with 5 different options.
Monsieur.
Well, no, he's not French.
Oh, my bad.
Let's be clear, Jess. I just said that.
Yikes. It's okay.
He's from Kazakhstan.
No, he's not.
It's confusing. It was
What's
as
confusing?
we said.
Wow, you guys are so jingoistic and nationals. Where are you from, boy? Where do you come from? What country?
Is that Dan?
That's what all of you sound
Wow.
like. Demanding to know his national
Was there
origin.
an if in there?
Do you want to see his papers too? How about that? Hey, Akbar, show us your papers, your passport. We want to see. Hey, what's your visa say, boy? Huh? You want to go eyes up in here?
Classic Dan.
That would
I
never.
mean, it seems like maybe the guy that interviewed Akbar should have asked these questions to confirm he was a real person. That's usually what editors do when you do an interview with a random person on the street. And now I'm kind of like, I feel bad for this guy. He got fooled at the same time. Someone probably should have caught it. Someone should have Googled, is Akbar Domestique a real person?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Before they publish the story.
Google Jimmy Butler statue. Let me know what the number one the result is.
It's Akbar Domestique. Spoiler alert.
Number 1 on Google, baby.
Okay.
It's really hard to do this whole bit now because like half of us are. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm confused. Like when we started the show, is like
Oddball Monday
we
through
want to
Thursdays.
talk about this thing that happened, but now we're like this thing never actually happened because this was a real thing. And
Did somebody get fooled or
lost.
not get fooled?
I'm lost in space right now.
Well, this is what happens with Oddball and when you start a show with no audio. Like, this is part of what it is that happens when you're trying to communicate with people and don't know.
Just like the Miami Heat did last night.
Oddball is odd. And if you want to explain to the audience what it is that you guys were doing yesterday and what you did to a journalist with a clip that would show us what happened to that journalist, that would probably be the correct way to do this. But they're odd.
Well, I would say, first of all, watch Oddball to get the full segment. Number 2.
Not now, though.
Not
a little
now.
later. It's not out yet.
I know,
Number
but,
two,
but
number
our
two.
audience would like to understand what happened here.
What
And
happened
some
was-
of it's confusing.
It's not confusing.
Like,
I'll explain it.
Trust me when I tell you. Trust me when I tell you.
Let me give you the clip notes.
No, trust me when I tell you.
Well, I can explain
it's
it or
confusing.
I can explain it or not, right? Like, explain real quick. We wanted to get a Jimmy Butler statue commissioned. We had the artist out there. His name's Akbar Domestique. He sat out there with Izzy. Izzy was soliciting people to come give us their opinion which one was the best of the designs. One of the people who came up to us unsolicited was a reporter. We did not know from which outlet He said, I'm a reporter. He identified himself as media, so Akbar granted an interview. He never does this, by the way.
Never.
So it was a
Never
real
does this.
artist then.
Akbar Domestique, yeah.
I don't know. Jessica thinks it's a bit.
Thank you for explaining it. It's not a bit.
There you go.
I don't understand if this, why did this reporter not see a camera crew around you
Well,
guys
not
with
only-
microphones on you?
Not
and
only did he see a camera
ask
crew around,
questions.
I had a microphone in the reporter's face. It was reporter inception. And he still didn't know what was going on. And so, next thing you know, there's a story in the Sun Sentinel.
But it's a real story.
It's a real story.
I'll move on.
So then we're
Google
fine,
statue.
right? The journalist did his job.
But this is the problem with the real story. Like Jeremy's friend is the journalist who wrote this.
Who did a great job,
Congratulations.
apparently, writing about this real artist.
Is this a
Question
real
mark?
journalist? Or
It's a real journalist,
Oh.
and it might be fake news, but it's a real journalist.
Did they put out like a retraction or like a comment on this? Like, hey, we were duped.
Well, why would they have to do that? Apparently, Akbar Domestique is a real person.
There it is.
Right, Amin?
There's the lead is, does Jimmy Butler deserve a statue outside the Kaseya Center? Most Heat fans would likely say no, considering why the star's 5.5-year Miami tenure ended. But Akbar Domestique, an artist from Khartoum, Sudan, so that's where he's from, says yes, and he set up a tent outside the arena before Butler's return to Miami with the Golden State Warriors on Tuesday to advocate for the cause. Quote, Jimmy Butler, great Miami Heat player. He wins very much. He great things for the
You
organization.
don't have to do it in his voice.
Well, I
That's just a little
didn't.
weird.
I just read.
Okay.
I read in my voice.
By the way, great reporting. Now we know where he's from. See, we should give this reporter some standing ovation, maybe?
Not great reporting.
Not.
Great reporting overall.
Got to the bottom of something.
Well, I'm glad that Jessica is protecting journalism here. I genuinely am.
I'm not. I'm not. I think people listening probably are just so confused right now.
Yeah, this is incredibly
because
confusing.
I'm confused.
Is it
right
confusing?
now.
How about this? Let's do Q&A. We'll answer. We're the oddball representatives here. We'll answer any questions.
Q&A, Tony.
We're opening up the press conference. Cues? Any cues?
Yeah. How did the guy not know that there was a guy with a fake mustache and a beret in front of the stadium?
Well, the beret is a sartorial decision. I think a lot of people around the world will look at that and say that's a snazzy hat. Particularly the color scheme. Red for Miami Heat red.
Yes, brilliant.
Pretty
And the
nice.
scarf, too.
The scarf is matching. Little hints of black there as well, but mostly red as well.
Also heat colors.
Also heat
How
colors.
about the fake mustache?
Well, the mustache is a little gaudy, but some people like to put in a little bit more product, a little bit more extra.
I'm sorry.
comb it
There
out.
are people every day that I see with fake eyelashes. So what's wrong with a little bit of an extra
Yeah, but fake
enhancement of
mustache,
your mustache?
there's more hair to the mustache than there is the eyebrow. Plus, I saw a little bit of the glue, I think, on the backside.
Well, look,
Nah,
first of
it was
all,
just-
shout out to my guy from White Lotus. Women have full frontal nudes all the time, and nobody cares. But when a guy does it, all of a sudden there's all sorts of questions.
Stone.
You saw he walked that back, right? He's like, I shouldn't have said that.
Well-
That's my bad.
I'm sure Akbar will walk it back one day too. Any other questions?
So the journalist, I'm
guy,
forgetting
okay.
his name, by the way.
Jeremy,
Respect to him.
Joey,
What's his name?
It's still confusing.
The journalist's name?
Barry? Was it Barry?
I don't know. It's in Barry.
Jeremy, your friend's name is what?
His name is Adam.
Adam, okay.
Adam. Okay.
So Adam got very close to Akbar.
Yes, he was.
Did he not
was
look at his lookbook, right?
As close.
Yep.
Yeah, showed the lookbook. As close to me and Dan right now.
I have a question. Amin, are you embarrassed that no one recognized you, considering that just looks like you but has sunglasses and a beret?
Was Amin there?
I was in the vicinity.
I mean,
See,
how
Jessica,
are we supposed to
no,
do this
Jess-
show,
no,
Dan?
No, but that's Billy right there. That's what a wild Billy Wednesday is.
do you mean?
You were trying. Yeah. What do you mean? What do I mean? See,
I was trying to get to the bottom of this, and we're pretending this artist really exists.
I cannot
Billy,
believe this
thank
is what we're
you.
doing and not talking about
Jessica.
Jimmy Butler
And
not showing up.
Jessica.
For that game.
Billy,
Jessica,
thank you.
Jessica, that was Billy simply doing the show for just you there. He wasn't doing it for anyone else there.
No, he's doing this for the millions of people sitting at home right now that are like, what the hell
Yeah,
are they talking about?
So check out
Talk about
Oddball.
Domestique.
Check out Oddball. It's a bit of a mystery, and that's the reason that you should listen to it. I'm guessing, though, that many people would like to hear your serious basketball analysis on a dumb night that did not live up to anything but allowed us to do the thing that we love to do more than anything in sports, which is just gossip about whether people like each other or not.
Didn't live up to anything.
And how much do they dislike each other? And how much disrespect was there?
And what's wrong with that? I mean, what do we do? What do we watch all day on TV? Is just that drama. And I think after 5.5 years of them being together, to go from even the fake platitudes and the fake niceness and just, hey, that's my teammates, those are my boys, to just absolute nothing, like that has to be a falling off, like one of the worst you've ever seen in the NBA. Like I even like Kobe Shaq wasn't even, I mean, I know it was bad, but people figured, hey, they'll get over it. This one, it just feels like this is just the end of any relationship he could possibly have. And he said he didn't want to burn any bridges with the organization. He seems like he has.
I think so. We keep bringing up Kobe Shaq. I know we have to consider the source, but according to Shaq, it was all marketing. Like Shaq, took something that was real and inflated it for the sake of theatrics. Shaq is a master of this, of going in there and taking something and making it way larger than it really is, just out of sheer entertainment of himself.
Man, I think that's some revisionist history from a guy who's in the tank for Shaq. Like Shaq was on
Shaq, wow. Hold on.
The big fella.
Akbar is?
I don't remember beating a drum at Shaq's games. Like, hey, Diesel.
Look, but Shaq was on a stage in a New York nightclub singing, "Hey, Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes."
Yeah, it was funny.
No, come on.
He was being funny.
By the way, comparing this to Kobe versus Shaq is the most insane thing that's happened this entire segment.
You're welcome. I mean, it is the relationship that ended. It's not like it's dissimilar, but I think the best part about this to me was all the pettiness from the Heat. It was not just not talking to him. I think Alec Burks might get in trouble, by the way, because he actually did go.
The only guys who Jimmy spoke to last night were Kevin Love, Terry Rozier, and Alec Burks. If that doesn't show you everything about Jimmy, I don't know what does.
Shout out to K-Love. K-Love said he posted the clip before the game.
I don't got a problem with these guys. My beef's not with them, never will be. But I'm not going to go acknowledge them. I'm not going to look in their direction. I'm not going to speak with them. It was I could not believe
with former
the way that all
ended.
ended.
Can I ask you, did you see Bam and Tyler going Jimmy, wait.
Who's the one that left?
I'm just saying. You're saying he didn't say what's up. It's like when people say, you didn't call me. MFer, you didn't call me either. What are we doing? It's only on me to call you? I got to be the one to pick up the phone. But if you don't pick up the phone, I never give you any problem.
But he did call people. He called Kevin Love and Terry Rozier.
But the relationship didn't end when he left. The relationship was over while they were here. Yeah. So they don't, they're not happy with Jimmy as well.
I'm just saying, I don't know if they had done I've seen it before. It's happened to me where I went and reached my hand out to shake hands with someone that I'd had a strained relationship with, and they looked at my hand and walked away, and I just stood there with my hand out, and I looked at everybody around like, see, I tried. I reached out. They didn't do anything. That's not what happened.
No, you're right.
I'm not saying Jimmy's an angel. I'm just saying, poor Bam. He didn't even say hello. He didn't look at him. Neither did he.
Yeah, one guy showed up for the game and the other didn't.
It also feels like if this score was opposite, Jimmy would have been center court
That's
waiting
exactly
to say,
right.
He would have been there. Where's Bam? Let me give him a hug. Where's
Exactly
Tyler? Let me
right.
pat him on the ass.
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think so. I don't think so.
You think he would have said all the glowing things he said after the game if he would have won? He had to get his butt kicked by the team to be able to go say anything nice. Look, man, there are some guys when the lights are on national TV that show up for big games, and other guys don't. And Jimmy's just not one of those guys. He just doesn't show up when the lights are on.
This is fake, right? This is acting.
He's wearing glasses. Come on.
You need a mustache?
We get Akbar in here. Should we get Akbar?
Is this where we're at?
Can we call
in terms of
should we
Heat
call
culture?
Akbar?
Like we're celebrating getting to 10 games under 500. Like this is where we're at gloating.
I'm
ashamed. I'm ashamed of
It's
my
a
fellow
fun night.
Heat fans, to be honest.
You know what I'll
with
say? I will say, and this will be the most embarrassing thing that I say. I was so proud watching Heat fans last night know to boo every time Jimmy touched the ball. Because before the game, I was talking to other people in the media and saying, the most passionate of fan bases would know, right? It's cheers and boos during the intro, and then every time that guy touches the ball, you boo him. That's what happens, right? And I honestly did not expect it. I didn't expect it from the crowd. And then it happened. There was a guy heckling him, and he got a 5-second violation. You couldn't have drawn that night up better
Jessica,
in a lab
you speak,
for the worst of people like me.
You speak for all of us, Jessica.
I can't speak.
It's embarrassing. I know it's embarrassing. I don't care.
Well, that's okay, and I understand that you don't care. But I legitimately left yesterday's show thinking to myself, and not knowing the answer because the Heat were coming off of a 10-game losing streak. I wanted to ask ask you guys, like, which is harder to do in that league, winning 10 straight or losing 10 straight?
I promise you losing 10 straight ain't that hard.
Well, I mean, Cleveland's won 10 straight 3 times, like 10 straight losses for the Heat. It's confusing to me where we've lived for 15 years that makes everyone crazy around here and makes Jessica put her head in her hands when Jeremy does what Heat fans do.
It was just fun watching Jimmy stand in the corner during a regular season game and it not affecting the Heat in a negative way.
Okay, and so Heat homer Jeremy has this to say about Miami fans. It was great for them to be knowledgeable enough to know to boo Jimmy every time he touched the ball. And then there's Steve Kerr saying this of Miami fans.
I didn't know what was going on pregame because there was a video with no sound. So I was wondering what was happening. Miami is it's a great place to live, and so people don't ever seem too amped up around here. They're living a good life. So it really wasn't that rabid of an environment. It was typical Miami.
So,
I mean, hold on. I mean, respectfully to Steve Kerr. He does a great job. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's key.
Nobody in Miami's amped up. Brother, have you been to like Ayahuasca during traffic, during prime time, 5 o'clock rush hour? Please.
That was the strangest part of the whole night because as the beginning of this show had no sound, as soon as you're supposed to hit the music, they played this one part, and it was like, I think it's this part of Eminem, right, where he's just like, it's the return of, just kidding. Yeah. And I was like, wait a second, that seems like a shot at Jimmy Butler. But it was like the Vice jersey thing, right? So that was the beginning of that one, and then the music just didn't play. The video was playing, but no music.
there was a popping sound that happened, and I thought, they got fireworks, but then there was no firework, and then the intro video plays exactly like how we started the show today. I would say that we were doing meta stuff, and I'm not blaming the video department. I'm saying the video department was Johnny on the spot.
It was a tribute.
Because they played the intro video to complete silence, and it took like a strong 5 or 6 seconds before like the game ops people were like, start a chant or something.
People started
saying,
saying,
let's go Heat. And then that like it died. It couldn't. I was like, wow, if they can carry this throughout the entire video, that'll be an insane environment.
It didn't.
TNT will love it. And then like three goes into let's go Heat. Let's go Heat.
It was a feeling of, Jimmy Butler's gone and everything goes to shit.
The energy was so weird to start yesterday's game because you had like the mixed cheers and boos, right, during the intro video. Then you have the Heat's intro video where the sound goes out and the speakers go out. Then a minute into the game, Draymond Green is hurt and laying on the ground and you're wondering what's going to happen. Then not 2 minutes later, Jimmy Butler himself has a 5-second violation where there's a fan behind him yelling, "You're a bum." Then
Andrew Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins immediately gets an 8-second violation after that. Then there's a backcourt violation. Then there's back-to-back 24-second violations by the Warriors. It was like, and that was all in the first 8 minutes of the game. It was one of the strangest starts to a basketball game, including Jimmy Butler having 2 points at the half.
I'd like to explain for 1 second. Everyone's like, it was mixed cheers and boos. At first, I was like, wow, so there are a lot of Heat fans that are still happy about Jimmy. Then I realized, oh, no. That's just the Warriors fans because 40% of the building had Steph Curry jerseys on. That's the thing that I think people are missing. You guys are thinking the Miami crowd was split. No, they weren't. No. It was just a bunch of Warriors fans.
I'm surprised that you're surprised by this. So last night, the Golden State starters, did they have 10 points by the half? The 5 of them? The starters.
Oh, it was insane.
No.
I mean, their starting lineup got dominated, and Jimmy was basically taken out of the game from the jump. Like, Bam Adebayo shut him down last night.
I would say
he just did.
I would say that Jimmy did. Like, I've seen people who are trying to force the issue. I got to prove a point tonight. He did the opposite.
Yeah, he didn't show up.
He seemed very passive.
Okay,
yeah, he didn't show up.
Very passive.
Okay, but can we just examine? Look, I don't want to talk about this any more
Basketball?
than Jessica does anymore.
Wait, hold on. But no, time out. Let me stop you there. You and Jessica. I'm sorry. What the hell did you guys think today's show was about to be about? Golf?
Thank you.
Tennis?
This has been
What
what
did you
you-
think was
Thank
gonna be
you.
about?
You're not here every week. This is what every show has been about for years.
This is
touche.
literally
This is
the
it.
last
Touche.
day that
Today.
we could do.
It's literally
Heat
the
and
last
Jimmy.
one.
And it
This
won't
is
be.
it.
And it won't be.
No,
No,
it
it
will
won't
be.
be.
It
will
will
not
be. This
be.
is it.
And
They're not
Dan
going to face
saying-
each other in the finals.
Dan saying, I don't want to talk about this is the funniest thing that has ever been uttered on the show.
Yesterday, also, by the way, we were talking about should the Heat be tanking for the lottery.
They should,
So,
by
like,
the way.
now
They
the
still should.
question is, you had your NBA Finals
Butler.
today.
Making sure
Or
they're
la-
not tanking. Maybe he tanked the game.
Meta.
You know what? Maybe that is what happened. Is Jimmy didn't want them to get a higher pick. But we were talking about
Chess.
yesterday. Should the Heat tank for the lottery? So now that the Heat won their championship last night, the Jimmy Butler revenge game, are we now back to tanking with this Heat team?
Sagging for a flagging?
I don't know if it's a serious conversation, but look at the standings. There's just no chance.
Pooper for Cooper?
Like, they're stuck in this play in purgatory. They can't. I don't even think they can move into 7 and 8. They're just in that 9-10 land right now.
Bailing for Bailey?
You know what? I'll let you guys have today if you can promise me you will not say the name. This is for Jeremy and Dan. Wow. You will not say the name Jimmy Butler for the rest of the NBA season.
Can you do that, Dan?
I got to figure out what I got to trade Jessica for that.
Oh, that's good. Boy, look at
there's
the Warriors are
going
to
to be a
relevant.
negotiation. I'm not going to just
say a week. Just say a week. A week is going to be hard enough. Like a week.
You're a bad negotiator.
I will figure out what it is. Let me think about it. I want it to be a thread throughout the show, and at the end, we will make a bet on whatever it is that is, so that don't let me forget. I want to have stakes on this because I also want stakes on yesterday's bet where there was an oral commitment there. Billy said for a raise he'd have another kid, so we've got a deal.
Get on that.
Get on that. He might have last night. I don't know.
Hey.
Be
Oral commitment.
respectful.
Oral commitment.
I'm sorry, what?
Can't have a kid that way.
Be respectful.
You and me have made a deal. Everyone heard it. Everyone.
Well, if I have a child.
That's right. Well,
have confidence
but
in
you
yourself,
can.
man.
If you have a child, you can
Yeah, if I
have
have
a
a child-
raise.
if I
We
have a
made a
child.
deal. I want there to be a huge.
I don't think that this is binding in any sense of the word
It's
whatsoever.
the words being spoken right now are an oral
No.
commitment.
Any contract is binding.
Oral
in the state of
commitments
Florida.
are not. They're oral commitments.
You're backing down.
No, I'm just saying.
He's scared, Dan, is what it is. You put the money up, and he's like, no, I don't want to do it anymore.
But how much money are we talking?
That's a
Let's
good
negotiate,
question.
Billy.
It's a good question.
Well,
What
I
if
just
it's
had
like
a kid, so
$1
me and you
million
could talk after, right?
Oral.
Okay.
And what if you have a fake baby?
Wow. Baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
big baby.
But
got a
you get the
mustache
$1 million.
for him.
Adoption.
Like, let's work this thing out.
Let's
a little
figure
bit.
out
Adam will
what
interview him.
let's figure out what the consequences are.
Kid's gonna
on
have to
that
be named
bet.
Cash, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be willing to make the bet of no. It's just the name Jimmy Butler, correct? Just the name.
Yep, yeah, I already lost.
I'm not. I'm not
Bad
lost.
start. That's why I said a week,
Not
Jeff.
just the
negotiations.
name, it's that you just can't talk about him.
Problem
you
is,
can't say his name, but you also can't. talk
ooh,
about
I
him.
have an idea for this bet, and I'm just if we're figuring out bets. If Dan wins, you have to wear a costume of some sort. If Jess wins, Dan can't wear a costume for a year.
Oh, that would kill
wow.
him. That would kill him. Billy.
Wow.
You know what's
cut him deep on
frustrating
that one.
about this? I was undefeated last year.
In what?
Undefeated. It's the reason I didn't wear a costume all year. I was undefeated at the grid of death. I went every single week and never lost a
Sounds
game.
like you were
And
cheating.
hated it.
How about if he loses, he shaves the beard?
Oh.
And if she loses, Jess has to grow a beard.
Oh.
I've got a mustache for
Not
that.
a bad trade because I can't grow a beard. So
You could wear a means
Nothing will change.
ridiculous beard.
Akbar.
apparently
Oh,
that was
real.
not a
Yeah,
mean. So now we're back to square
who
one.
was that?
Weird as mine. What are you talking about?
Akbar.
Well, the way the show should have started, I saw in preview the clip of Jeremy's friend being fooled by Akbar, and I just am curious where we are with journalism because Jessica asked, where are the editors here? And the answer to your question, Jessica, is WPLG in Miami closes down with ABC after 80 years and has to go totally local, is there are no editors anymore. We can't pay anybody anymore, so Greg Cody has to write his own headlines on his own stories because the editors are being all chewed up and bad things are getting into newspapers. And hey,
I thought Akbar was quoted warmly and accurately.
Well, also, like that story, so ABC is still going to exist, but WSVN now is going to have Fox and ABC on
That's
their
right.
like second channel. And then WPLG announced that they are focusing on journalism and they're reinvesting all of the money that they were going to be asking for to get the ABC license into local journalism. And they're going to do more local journalistic shows, and they're going to have longer news days in the morning, and they're going to have different programming that's specific for local because they thought that ABC was asking for too much, I believe.
Billy,
is what
hold
happened
on.
there.
Are you PR for WPLG?
No, I'm
what's
just
going on?
saying.
He's got it right.
Well,
He's got
I
it.
read a
shocked
heaven
by
forbid,
Billy
I read a
having it
story
right.
before we talked about
You
it.
don't
So
Journalism, yeah.
the guy that runs the network doubled down on his commitment to local journalism and covering local stories. So it's not a situation where the network is folding.
Oh, okay.
Billy, let's bring back Sports Bang. Sell it to them. Local journalists, Billy Gill, Tony Gladiute, all of a sudden take on sports.
Wait, who
For-
was the second person that's
Me.
doing this?
Me and
All
you.
of a sudden,
Me and you.
all of a sudden
Pass.
take on sports.
Pass.
I love that idea. It's like they've been covering like politics and like Wall Street, and all of a sudden we're gonna take on sports.
Yeah.
With Sportsman.
We both wear like suits.
We'll beat Jim Barry. Jim Barry keeps jumping back and forth between sports and news. Why
He can
can't
be the
we?
third. He can be the third guy.
Ooh, I like that.
Me, you, and JB.
Okay.
Roy must be wounded in the history of WPLG. That's 79 years.
Dwight Lauderdale.
I mean,
Yeah, and
that's,
Bishop.
That's what I mean. They taught me about news. Like that was television news when we were growing up, and then ABC comes in and says, "No, it's going to be network." And yes, they're trying at Channel 10 to do something that is a special thing where they take care of local news. But to answer Jessica's question, there are no editors. There's not money for editors. There are like 5 newspapers in the country that can afford editors.
Also mentioned in the announcement, they will still have Wheel of Fortune. So
great.
don't be worried about that.
Jeopardy?
Good lead-in for us.
I think Jeopardy too.
Excellent.
And Kelly and Mark, or whatever the Kelly show is called
I've
now.
never really liked Wheel of Fortune that much.
Really?
It's fine. It's just like I think Jeopardy is so much better.
I haven't seen any of the Seacrest episodes.
Yeah, me neither.
Not a one.
I guess that sort of we agree then.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of 10, when's the last time you saw number 10 Jimmy Butler show up for a big game, huh?
Oh boy.
Lights
I
are
don't
on,
think
he
Dan's allowed
shrinks.
to talk about that.
He's got his boys in matching
I
joy
don't-
shirts
I
on.
don't-
Come
How
on,
has Izzy already ended my negotiations?
Beard's coming off.
Aliens real? With Jeremy Corbell, host of Weaponized.
Now, this guy's making sense so far, but I just want to know, I'm a little skeptical when it comes to this stuff, so I'm going to let you guys know at the end of this where this guy falls on my kook meter. I just want to throw that out there. I don't want to be disrespectful. My name's Chris.
Chris, hold on. Let me ask you something. Extraordinary evidence requires what? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, right? You're one of those guys.
That's right.
Okay, cool. So I believe that extraordinary claims, that they require evidence. I think it's extraordinary that people don't know the evidence. So it's not your fault. Skepticism is good. I am more skeptical than you know. We've never met, Chris. But here's the deal, brother. If you are not caught up, that's not my fault. That's yours.
Meter's moving.
Let's get you caught up right now.
He's calling you ignorant, and
No, not at all. What I'm saying is that
calling
this
you
is the stigma is so vast. It's in our military. The stigma is what causes lack of information. We are in a data-rich environment when it comes to UFOs, but the public, the general person, taking their kids to school, paying their bills, it's a data-poor environment, and it doesn't need to be that way. So let's get there, Chris.
You're in a pink room with a safe and a typewriter.
I am. Pink is my favorite color. You
Yeah.
busted me, and I don't know what you're talking about the safe.
Is there an alien in that safe, or
what? An alien?
Can't confirm nor deny what's in the safe. Sorry.
What is the evidence? What evidence do we have?
Okay, so it depends what you're talking about. Like, on what level do you want evidence? I've released military filmed, Pentagon confirmed, UFO designated footage. I mean, you're talking about craft that do things that we can't do. I'll give you one example, because if you want evidence, how long a show we got. Very simple. Commander David Fravor off the west coast of California in 2004, he engaged an object, a craft of unknown origin. He was tasked and set out there on a training mission. When he went out there, he observed, but not only that, Commander Chad Underwood filmed what we now know as the Tic Tac UFO. This object had abilities far beyond thousands of years of what we're supposed to have right now in the US. We know it was not US. We know it was not China. We know it was not Russia. Whose was it? This craft was able to drop from 80,000 feet, actually above that, because that's the scan volume of the radar system they were using. It could drop above 80,000 feet, so from outer space, all the way down to sea level like that in less than a second. Now you tell me what we have that does that. That's tracked on radar. That's tracked on satellite. That's tracked on the ASA system on the pilots. And we have visual confirmation from 5 pilots. So you tell me, whose machine is that? That's the extraordinary evidence for the extraordinary claim that there are objects out there we don't understand.
Mike McClung is proof, right?
Mac.
Who's that?
Mac McClune?
Matt McClung.
The guy who won the dunk contest.
Nailed
the
it.
tiny
So
white
double
guy.
fine.
Yeah.
Double fine.
Yeah.
Oh man, all I watch is
He's an alien.
jujitsu and movies. I don't know anything about sports. I'm sorry.
Whatever
I'm
the fuck his
ignorant.
name
It's
is.
like
It's
Chris.
okay. It's all right. It's not
Jeremy, what do they want? The
Who's
aliens. The aliens.
Okay, but you're making an assumption now. So what do you call an alien? Something that is unknown to you, you say is alien to you. If you're talking about beings from another planet, you're making a leap in logic, which I don't know yet if that's true. Although I do suspect by the types of propulsion systems that are documented from our military that they do come from somewhere else. So they will be alien to you. They will be alien to me. But I don't know exactly what that means. What do they want? That was your question. How could I know that? I don't even know what I want.
It's fair.
The podcast series
What are you on for? I mean,
is called
you don't know what they want.
Weaponized. His show explores strange phenomena, UFOs.
He just blinked for the first time in this entire
He
interview.
did, yeah.
Cover
He's one of
ups.
them.
I'm not an alien.
He is.
Conspiracies,
That's exactly what an alien would say.
hard evidence related to the paranormal, cutting edge science, big time crimes.
Do you think that there is a? We obviously know more than what we've released, and as of a few years ago, we've declassified all this, and we've totally acknowledged there are things out there that we don't understand that can do things we can't explain. But do you think a part of this is being withheld from the public now, just because so many deities would be confused by this and would not know where to go, and us as a species right now, we couldn't handle the truth?
Well, first of all, we can handle the truth. We have a right to know and need to know, and I feel a duty to find out. But is there a cover-up? Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Like, this is not theoretical. We have documents from the CIA, from the FBI. This is a historic cover-up. Nobody wants to admit that there is a technology out there that is far more superior than the greatest supernation that we know on planet Earth. So you're asking me, is there a cover-up? Man, they cover up how much they spend on a toilet seat at the Pentagon. So you're asking me if there's a cover-up about UFOs? Yeah, the answer is effing yes.
You know what? My boy's cooking right now. Let my boy cook. I'm with him.
He is cooking.
I don't understand. I don't understand that reference. Can you explain that?
You're spitting.
That's me. It's Tony.
That was Tony. That's a fine.
Yeah, sorry. It's okay.
So it's a
I don't know
different-
that reference or what it
I'm
means.
saying I'm
but
with you,
I
brother.
think-
That you're cooking right now with
Let's
gas.
go.
Yeah,
You're cooking with
he
gas
says
right
that he's
now.
with you,
Right.
that you're preaching.
You're not a kook.
Yeah, he lost his voice. Pardon him. He has a Cuban voice box, and it was really dry in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Is that Dan?
No, I'm Dan, and we've got an assortment of clowns parading around us.
And
That's
Cubans.
good. That's good. Look, guys. I really appreciate you want to cover this topic. We kind of have fun with it, right? Everybody's like, "Oh man, this is kind of crazy." The thing is that it might be the biggest story of our time. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. It's either that there are beings that are non-human, so non-human intelligence engaging humanity, or we have some sort of deception program where we're being led to believe that. Now, that is much less likely, much less, because it would be coordinated over generations. So it's good to have fun with this, but let's be honest. Isn't this curious?
super. And if this technology is out there and can do things, and this is just one ship, then one would make logical assumptions that if they have this type of technology, they have technology to do worse. Why haven't they? Why are they just observing?
Playing with their food.
Why is everything... it's a lot of people get skeptical of UFOs because it's a lot like Bigfoot in that, okay, but nobody can get me a crystal clear image of this.
Nothing like Bigfoot.
No, but
we have so many photos and images, and the Pentagon confirmed, and we have military pilots that come forward with footage, radar, sonar, thermal, everything. There's nothing like Bigfoot.
And I've seen the videos that you're mentioning, but still, you referred to it as a Tic Tac because it appears as a Tic Tac. There's still, what we have out there, people can still dismiss as that's got to be something else. There isn't the one great holy grail piece of footage where you can see definition in these things. And
I'm sure David Samson has a lot of opinions about what he would have done or not done as part of a tribute to a player that soon I will not be able to name because, Jessica, I'm going to make this bet with you before the end of the show. The stakes will be, and I will agree to the terms, I will not talk about this anymore, no matter who brings it up or how they bring it up. I will abstain, but in exchange for that, there has to be something of equal measure that you're giving me.
I'll think about it.
You keep saying steaks, so
I know, but can it be actual steaks?
That's what I'm saying. I think that's what he was angling at.
No,
delicious.
It can't.
Can you eat
be
steak?
Actually, steaks. No, it can't.
Either one of you.
You can eat steak.
You can have a tuna steak, right?
No, I can have. I can have fish and stuff. I can
tuna
have
steak.
chicken, but
Churrasco you can't have?
no steak.
Why?
Just can't have it. It
got-
reacts badly with my body. What do you want? What do you ask?
You new here? What's up?
What do you?
How long have you been here, Billy? Come on.
I'll go through the list if you want. I can't have paprika. Like we could do that. You'd like that for
That
me to
hurts,
do
man.
that for 3 hours.
I just want to get to David. I never thought I'd say that. Hey, David.
Billy, it's baseball season, baby.
It is. It starts tomorrow. I have a fantasy draft tonight. 9 o'clock is very late for a fantasy draft. Baseball fantasy drafts are like 24 rounds. I don't like this one bit, but I have to do it.
I need to know who is your first pick because there are a lot of players that people may not be focused on because of your inside information. You may be able to get somebody really good.
It's a good question. So my league, no one cares about this, so we got to get through this very quickly. So my league, each team gets 4 keepers. So I need to kind of go through the list of the keepers and even see who's available. It's a whole thing, and somehow it always sneaks up on me. So I need to cram after the show today. So we'll see.
So I'll give you a spoiler alert. Oh. The first pick should always be Jimmy Butler. That's right, Billy. You didn't think that I was not listening to the start of the show, to the entire first segment, where your guys are talking incessantly about Butler and the ridiculousness of that video. There's no way Pat Riley should have approved. You weren't talking about that, were you?
What kind of segue was that when you guys were doing baseball? Was that you trying to just talk about what you wanted to talk about? Because he was trying to talk baseball in his fantasy league with you, and you decided to make it about the subject we agreed we weren't going to talk about anymore right now.
Yeah, because that was Billy saying, David, and I got a text here offline, which no one's supposed to know about. Hey, we only have a second to talk about baseball. We got to talk about Butler. So that's why I want to do that. It was very important to me to get to Jimmy. I actually talked about it in my MLB preview show on Nothing Personal, which I don't have a clip for you to show, which I wish I had, but I don't. But I did a whole preview of the season, but I did work in the craziness of the decision of whether or not you do a video, who approves that, how it works, because we have that kind of stuff all the time, Dan.
So what would you have done?
Oh, because of the way he left, there's no video. We would not have even told the umpire to pause the game at the first at-bat of that player if that player came back to have an at-bat against us, because normally you have to get permission from the umpire, actually, in order to pause the game for the player to step out, tip the cap, get the ovation from the 749 people there. So we don't do that. We wouldn't have done that for a player who left in that way.
I mean, that's being an ass, though, right? Everybody would have noticed that, and it would have inflamed the entire situation. Like, is this not a part? I mean, I don't even say this to mock you. The Miami Heat as an organization, they try to represent class. I don't know that that's something that you guys
I resent the implication, Dan, that listen, we did not honor Bobby Cox because Bobby Cox said things that were against our organization. I'm sure it's somewhere that you can look up. It became a big deal, but we stuck to our principles that if you're going to be critical of us, we're not going to open a window for you to be celebrated. So I don't think that it's about class. It's about accountability, which is a concept that I wish more people understood. You can't act like Jimmy acted and expect that it's going to be butterflies and unicorns when you come back. It should be you're an enemy on the different team. See you later. You're welcome. I would have liked a full-page ad in the paper from Jimmy thanking Pat Riley for allowing him to get paid this season, because I would have suspended him the rest of the year, or if the union made me, I would have sat him at the end of the bench for the rest of the year.
I think, David, the issue here is it's not about Jimmy Butler. It's what you project to the rest of basketball. And for them, I think they did the right thing. This is yes, you might be angry about things someone has said and done. And yes, internally you might be, go F yourself, but you say the thing that causes the least amount of waves. In the same way that, David, you said that when the Panthers won the Stanley Cup, if you had been the Marlins, you guys would have been MFing like, damn. But externally you say, congratulations to the Panthers. Why? Is it because you owe anything to them? No. It's because you want to project that, hey, we are a place that does it right even when we have been wronged. And that is what you want carrying forward, not those are the petty guys that hate when the other team across town won their championship.
Yeah, I would do that for a team in my city, absolutely, but that has nothing to do with rewarding player empowerment or rewarding what Jimmy Butler did to get himself out of Miami. You're comparing apples to peanuts.
No, I'm not. I'm saying to you, what's the reward? Just like what's the harm in saying congratulations over there? What's the reward in not doing a 30-second if that video that wasn't? I mean, it was kind of toothless, to be honest with you, but they did the bare minimum so that no one can ever say, oh, you petty MFers, you guys didn't do anything when this guy came back, which is, again, it's not about Jimmy Butler. It's about every future free agent, every future player, star player who'd want to come here. They don't want to have the feeling that, hey, man, if I ever force my way out or have to force my way out, they're going to bury me too. That's what it's about.
Let's go to an alternate universe, Amin, and let's go to the universe where there was no video. Are you spending the first 40 minutes of the show talking about the fact that the Heat are a classless organization for not honoring Jimmy Butler with a video, and then imagining that it would have been, whether it was a great 1-minute video with sound or whether it was an ordinary video? Is that what your position would have been had there been none?
If there had been no video, it absolutely would have been the A1 topic of, oh my God, they didn't even play the video. And I'm going to tell you what, David, yesterday they did the intros, a guard from Moses Moody, a blah, 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 forward from Michigan State, Draymond Green. And then after 4, I was like waiting for the guys just to say, and number 10, Jimmy Butler. I thought they were going to do that, and that was it. And then there was a silence, and I was like, holy shit, are they just going to announce 4 guys and then move on to the home team? I literally thought that's where they were going with, because that video took a delay, Jeremy. Back me up.
It did. No, there was like a 3-second delay that felt like
an eternity.
Because you were wondering what's going to happen now.
And had they gone directly from 4 guys, all right, now we're going to start talking about the Heat, absolutely that would have been A1 not only for our show, but every sports show across the country.
This will make Dan crazy, but I want to mention the name John Condon. John Condon was a very famous announcer at Madison Square Garden. And when a former player would come back, he would announce, and he was an amazing announcer. And when a player would come back, and number 4, Jimmy Butler. And it would just be in sort of a matter of fact, get the job done, you've got to announce the starting
David,
lineup.
I'm going to tell you right now, I know John Condon. You, sir, are no John Condon fan. Because when Patrick Ewing came back as a Seattle Sonic, they announced, and number 33, Patrick Ewing. He did that.
Because it was, hold on. Are you comparing Patrick Ewing? He did not talk his way out of New York. That was what New York chose.
The hell he didn't. That's the reason why they traded him. David, this is my wheelhouse now. This is my wheelhouse. Patrick Ewing was like, pay me $1 gajillion. The Knicks were like, you're 100 years old and you just broke your wrist and you tore your Achilles and did all these things. We don't want to do that. So then he said, well, then trade me. and then he ends up getting traded to Seattle in a 3-way deal that sends Glenn Rice from the Lakers to the Knicks.
It was one of the worst trades in the history of the Knicks. The fact that they took back assets for that when they just could have let him go.
Sure.
He just didn't want to be let go, so the Knicks moved him. But without debating Patrick Ewing, we're talking about how the Knicks handled his return. He did not leave in a blaze of hatred and rancor when it came to his relationship with the public and with the Knicks the way Jimmy did. Jimmy had been suspended, I can't remember, I mean, is it twice or 3 times during the course of this season alone?
Yes,
it was not like that with Patrick.
But that was a Miami Heat decision, right? Miami Heat took and I'm not saying it was the right decision or the wrong decision. I'm just saying it's very, very rare the path that they took, not only to suspend him, but then to choose to fine him through the rules of the CBA at the higher fine amount than what is a typical suspension. So that was more about the Heat, behaving in a way that was unorthodox in the situation than about Jimmy Butler doing something that was highly unheard of.
You can't say something's unorthodox, actually, when it's in the 4 corners of a CBA. You know that.
No,
you have to operate within those confines.
No, I know.
So
but
it's actually
don't play verbal gymnastics with me. When I say unorthodox, you know what I mean. I'm not saying they went outside of the rules of the CBA. I'm saying they took a path that is least taken among teams who are faced with that kind of situation, which happens yearly in our league. Nobody takes the path that they took, but they took it. It was well within their right to, but we all know that's not a recourse. In the same way that, David, if you took my sandwich out of the fridge, I could call the cops and say theft. And it would be within my right to say this guy stole my lunch, even though it had my name on it, even though we know that most people are just grown up enough to handle it without turning it into a 911 call.
I mean, it would be petty larceny at best, unless you got like this amazing sandwich from the deli.
That's my point,
but
David.
What Jimmy Butler did was grand theft auto.
Oh man,
it's not just that he missed a plane.
GTA.
This was a pattern of behavior over the course of years. Even when they were winning, you had a Heat organization that couldn't stand him.
You're playing a semantics game right now. I'm telling you that a lot of the rancor, there was a good amount of rancor that was created by how the Heat reacted to the situation. And I'm not saying that they were wrong to do that. I'm just saying it's part of the pie that was baked. And so when you talk about, hey, Patrick Ewing, or John Condon never does that. I'm like, we did it for Patrick Ewing. It was like, well, Patrick Ewing didn't leave in bad terms. Yes, he did. It wasn't cuddly. It was like, guys, it was great. Hey, we got you too, Patrick. Have fun. It wasn't like that. Both sides were kind of hurt because the Knicks wanted him to retire Nick, and he was like, I want to get paid. And he ended up leaving as a result. And so, but yet, when he came back, they did not say, F that guy. Who the hell does he think he is that he should get paid? You know what? Just say his name regular, John. He didn't do that. Because it doesn't take much to just do the thing so everyone gives a nice golf clap. And then if you want to boo every time he touches it after that, you're well within your right.
No one booed Patrick Ewing when he touched the ball as a member of any team. He was celebrated every single time. It's just a bad example. I do know there are players that we could have mentioned. You could have mentioned a Latrell Sprewell as an example. But Patrick Ewing, to me, was just a bad example.
We seem to have dueling wheelhouses here, and I'd like to get to the bottom of it. I'd like to see who's got the better wheelhouse here between Amin and David Samson. And even though it's not the most current thing to talk about today, who's got it right when it came to Patrick Ewing? Is it Amin, who knows his basketball history, or is it David Samson, who was a heckler at one time, who would sit in the stands and legitimately heckle Knicks basketball team?
And they booed Patrick Ewing while he was a Knick, by the way. So
I would never heckle the Knicks. That's incorrect, actually. I would only heckle the road teams because I was lucky enough to sit 2 rows behind the owners of every team that came into the Garden, and it was about 20 feet from the visitors' bench. So Charles Barkley's given me the finger and threatened to fight me, and it was a whole part of my life. It was a Robin, oh God, I'm having a moment on live TV.
Robin
I was going to say Robin, Thicker
with an F.
Thicker.
You know why I knew that? Because it's my wheelhouse.
I think he's going to out-wheelhouse you
He
here.
got him there. He got him.
I think he's going to out-wheelhouse you here. Samson, I think you've met your match here. Like, whatever you think you know here, you don't know.
This is hallowed ground right here. Like, you want to talk about the World Cup or something else, like, the cricket? Well, okay, I'll concede. I'll capitulate.
80s and 90s NBA, that's my wheelhouse. That's before I was ever in the sports business. I was so deep into the NBA that I can talk about Larry Demick all night long. Lionel Richie.
Please
We can go
don't.
Toby
Please
Knight.
don't.
I can do whatever you
Don't.
want,
No.
but you don't accuse me of not having an NBA wheelhouse.
What I'm accusing both of you of here, because it feels like you guys are misremembering a whole lot of things. The money got in Patrick Ewing's way as well. The endings on these things are they're hardly ever what you want them to be. Like it is so very hard to break up with an aging superstar.
Dan, you know what this is like? This is like the Seinfeld episode where he had the perfect breakup and no one believed him. Like, what? No, that doesn't happen. Like, no, we really both looked at each other.
We're just friends.
Yeah, we're just friends. Like,
This is nothing like a Seinfeld episode.
Isn't it?
It actually is.
Is it?
This episode, at least.
Boom, ba-dum, bum, bum.
Guys, notice that a record number of college players entered a transfer portal yesterday?
Entered what?
The what?
Transfer portal.
Oh, that's what that was.
That's a true story, Billy. What a crazy thing that they have the portal open during the tournament when we should be focusing on the Sweet 16. And you all got what you want. You wanted players to get paid. You wanted them to be in the union. Now 700 plus of them go into the portal. It's crazy.
You and Skipper were arguing about this, and it seemed like one of the best arguments I've seen between you two, because you do a great job on the Sporting Class with Pablo Torre and John Skipper talking about sports business. And he said something that got aggregated, which is that March Madness and all this stuff can go to pay-per-view, and you can stop NIL entirely, the entire mess of free market capitalism. Not surprising that he would want some governance over that. I was surprised to hear you say, "Nah, freedom for everybody."
Well, that's actually always been my position, Dan. I'm the one who fought with the union in baseball. I wanted players to get free agency immediately and have it every single year. And now a player in baseball, they have to be with the team for 6 years before they get free agency. And the union would never agree to it because they thought that players wouldn't be able to earn their pay each year. And you'd be actually losing money as a player to do that. And I was willing to say always be free. And that's what college players are. They are free agents. Even when they sign long-term NIL deals, if they're not paid or there's any way to get into the portal, which there is, they just go to the next highest bidder. And what Skipper was saying is what he wants is just a super conference. He wants Yankees, Red Sox every day, every game on national television. He wants North Carolina, Duke every game, every round of every series, and every round of the NCAA tournament. And to me, one of the exciting things are the upsets. And what he countered with is that an upset would be anybody who's not favored. If it's North Carolina, Duke, and North Carolina is favored by 5 and Duke wins, that's an upset that would make fans happy. And I just had a fundamental disagreement. It's really fun to root for the underdog during these tournaments.
David, I have to agree with you. I think someone did this years ago, I think it was 10 years ago, but what is the perfect formula for March Madness? And the perfect formula is first couple of days, upsets. We get to Sweet 16. I want to say you want 2 or 3 Cinderellas. By the Elite 8, maybe 1. By Final 4, you want 4 Blue Bloods. So there is an element. You need that little bit of people like, wow, St. Mary's really making a run. But by the time we get to the end, we don't want any of those Cinderellas.
The numbers are good on this tournament. Everybody wants the action. It's uniforms running up and down, and it's all a lot of fun. But when you're talking about some of the stuff that you guys are talking about, which is the business of this, that keeps becoming more and more expensive with streaming and more isolated, the solution, fragmented, I should say. When John Skipper says the solution is stop what you're doing now and make it something that is pay-per-view and have it be something that is more organized as a made-for-television event.
His quote specifically was, why wouldn't you create 4 super conferences, 64 teams, and that's your governing body? Who else has a governing body which is an independent third party? Why don't 4 college conferences go, hey, we're going to do our own basketball tournament, 64 teams. We'll sell that for $1.5 billion, and we'll divide that amongst our schools, and will further separate the haves from the have-nots.
it is shocking to me what a socialist capitalist he is pretending to be in that instance. And that was part of what we talked about on the sporting class, was that it's hard to have it both ways the way he wants it. So I hear that quote, and I heard it live, Jeremy, and I just tried to push back a little bit and talk about a world where that exists, because wouldn't you look at the U.S. and argue that there's a world where it's a really few number of haves and a real big number of have-nots? And how is it that you are coming to grips with that? And he's suggesting that there is a college basketball formula and football and professional sports formula where you are focused solely on the haves.
Well, when you ask how does that working out, for the haves, it's working out great in this country, right? They're rich people are richer than they've ever been before. But I want to ask you, David, did you ever watch the documentary on Apple TV or Apple Plus about the Super League in Europe, about how they try to create a Super League because American businessmen came in and said, hey, Chelsea, hey, Man U, why are you guys like in this UEFA thing? Make your own thing, keep all the money. And then what ended up happening was the grassroots fandom was so upset by this massive departure from what was tradition that they upended the whole thing. It ruined the business deal, and everyone got scared and backed out.
That would have been a great business deal was ruined by you can't do that to the customer.
Right.
It can't be that. The greed and the capitalism can't be that overt. That was the line.
Right. But at the time, I remember watching, and I'm like, yeah, of course in Europe, because they stick to their standards or traditions way more than we do here. We are a much more malleable people. That's why we have a lot more convenient things here than in Europe. But having said that, I wonder if this would have been the line, David. Do you think the people would have risen up and said, no, I'm a Duke fan. I'm a North Carolina fan. I don't want to go to this weird Super League thing. I want to I want to watch Wolford have a chance to kind of play one of us.
So what's interesting about that, and yes, of course, I've seen it and covered it. What fascinated, do you remember who led that? It was led by the American owners of EPL teams who were trying to do things like John Henry couldn't do as owner of the Red Sox because he doesn't have the votes, because he would do it right now today. He would create a Super League in Major League Baseball. And would he do it with his Penguins? Wait to see. But in terms of baseball, that's what he's wanted. Except when he owned the Marlins, why would I pay money for teams to beat me when I can just keep paying the teams around me who are as big as I am, and we can keep a bigger share of the money? And what we used to say to him, John, what happened to you? I can't believe how you've changed given what you now own versus what you did. But do you think that your revenue would be the same if your schedule was that you played the Yankees, Dodgers, and Cubs 50 times each in a 150-game season? So the argument has always been that you need to have a full league. And what John Skipper was saying was sort of an amalgam of the concept, which is keep it at 64 teams, but forget these automatic bids from these ridiculous conferences that no one's ever heard of. Forget Yale having an opportunity to beat Texas A&M in the first round. Just keep it to the 4 main conferences. So then what happens, Amin, is the ACC and Big East say, here's an idea. Why don't we merge? This was Dan Hurley thinking about this, talking to Coach K. Let's form a 29-team conference and see if we can't be the big man on campus. And so where everybody is simply going to is they want the lion's share of the money the year in which they deserve it, and they don't think about the years in which they stink.
So
that's how this happens.
It's been 1 year, okay? It's a super small sample size. But chalk won, and it was not madness. It wasn't what it usually is for buzzer beaters and upsets and everything else. 12 over a 5 is not any kind of rare. It often happens. So there weren't any stunners. And Jay Williams says that NIL has ended the Cinderella based on this year. That seems to me like that wouldn't have any tethers to truth. It's a one sample size situation. But is there a chance that this keeps happening this way because of money differences in the sport? It seems like an overreaction that he's saying this 1 year that's an aberration.
I'd like to jump in for a second, David. Number one, a couple years ago, Miami went to a Final Four fueled off of just snorting pure uncut NIL, right? Like that's how they did it.
And some other stuff.
Right. The NIL and the transfer portal actually accelerates this because people are going to be able to bring up a bag of money and say, look, let me go after this kid who, for whatever reason, didn't get enough touches or enough shots or enough minutes in his situation, and it's going to create more randomness. I think, to pretend like this is a result of NIL. First of all, this is not the first year of NIL. It's not the first year of transfer portal. To me, it's just going to increase the randomness. What do you think, David?
It's two things. One, it's people saying that Yankees, Dodgers were in the World Series last year. Look how broken baseball is.
Mm-hmm.
But the year before was the Rangers and Diamondbacks. So you certainly can't look at a one-year sample. And the second thing I would offer you is we talked about Steph Curry earlier in the show today. Steph Curry has made a commitment that he wants to see, and I mean, this is not my wheelhouse, Davidson, he wants to see them become a force. If he wants to pour in the type of money required to do the type of recruiting to make Davidson look like and feel like Duke, I'm all for that. Let him do that for his alma mater and let teams decide which years they're going to really go for it or not. That makes it like any other league where sometimes you're winning, sometimes you're losing, but never be in the middle.
Before the end of this segment, I wish to have a Patrick Ewing off between David Samson and Amin to see who has the greater wheelhouse. It's one of the most pathetic things to ever happen around here, but they're both entrenched in their positions that they know more about the Patrick Ewing era than the other one does. Before I do that, though, I want to ask you, the group as well, have any of you seen Adolescence on Netflix?
Literally just talking about him on the last episode, Dan. I don't know if you want to spoil it. Have you seen the whole thing yet?
I have, yes.
It's Spoiler Wednesday.
It is Spoiler
so be
Wednesday.
careful.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't come out on Sundays, though, so we can't talk about it yet.
All right. So anyway, this is one of the most popular shows on Netflix. And David, I need you to. What happened, David? What do you?
It's already all out. What do you mean an episode is coming out on Sunday?
No, I'm saying it didn't because we talked about White Lotus for Spoiler Wednesday. So the shows that come out Sunday, the spoiler day is Wednesday.
He's just worried in general. Our audience has reacted very poorly to me, particularly ruining shows because I told them all that Goggins came out with his penis.
What?
So
it's Wednesday. It's safe.
It's okay
It wasn't
on a Wednesday.
him. It was Isaac's, by the way.
No.
But
No. Isaac's is a different thing. That's a different thing.
He's talking about Goggins on Righteous Gemstones.
I'm talking. Yes, you're talking about White Lotus. Get your get your penises right, David. Okay, please. Thank you. I would appreciate it.
I would like to be.
You're smug.
You're serious.
No, you're smug though. You're smug. Okay. I was talking about a different penis, and you're like, no. I know which penis you're talking about. Let me correct you with my penis. It's annoying.
I have no illusion that I'm anything other than Jewish. I would like to just point out.
Means.
He's got an illusion.
You've never heard that?
I don't want to do this.
You've literally never heard that, Dan.
I don't want to do this.
You brought it up, Dan.
I brought it up.
I mean, you did bring up the penis.
You're talking about penises, and
not yours. I was not talking about yours in any way. Didn't care about yours. Wasn't asking about yours.
Wait, I'm curious. What just happened? I sort of didn't really understand.
I heard penis.
Then I heard Jewish.
I heard something about Jewish penises and my ears perked up. Samson, can you extrapolate?
Well, I can only elongate the segment if you'd like me to, but the fact is that it is thought to be that Jewish men do not have large penises. That's been the expression, and people often say, hey, I'm Jewish only from the waist up.
Wow. Oh, that's not my experience.
Mine either.
Shout out to Lehman, huh?
Mystery crate heads know.
Can we talk about Adolescence?
Yeah,
for 2 minutes
let's talk
here
about
without
it.
spoiling it?
Don't spoil it though. I'm on the last episode. I'm halfway through the last episode, David, where they're driving in the car and there's that long scene of them driving in the car.
Okay, that is so. Did you know watching this show that the father is also the writer? Did you know that going into
I did not. I know he's in Peaky Blinders, and I loved him in Peaky Blinders.
Okay, so Stephen Graham wrote a 4-episode arc called Adolescence, and he cast a kid who had never acted before.
That kid was so good, David. I was stunned. I get so mad at child actors for being cruddy in things that I would otherwise like because it's hard to be a good child actor. That kid was so good.
He had never acted before.
That's insane.
One of the rules, he had never taken an acting class. When they did the casting, and Stephen Graham has gone public with this, we would not look at video or tape or auditions of anyone who had any acting experience of any kind. Like in your 8th grade school play, I would have been eliminated for doing my sister Eileen in 7th grade. This guy, Stephen Graham, said, we're going to find a kid who is completely. My sister Eileen, is that an old reference to, Dan? Are you making fun of that?
No, I didn't make fun of anything, but Tony made a face.
I mouthed what?
Tony made a face. Look, David.
Does that come on,
What am I
Eileen?
going to do?
David, your every segment for so long is you say things like that, and Tony has a look like that, and it's everybody, because yes, that was the correct way to react to that reference. Go ahead, tell us about your sister Eileen. Go ahead.
No, that's the name of the show.
I know.
It's a play.
My
Anyway,
sister Eileen. Go ahead.
Who's on first, David?
What?
What's on
The fact
second?
of the matter, him. That's
What
fine.
are
I'll
you
Venmo
doing?
it later.
Wait a minute.
I miss Greg Cody.
Wait a
You
minute.
would love this episode.
I don't know who on
What
third.
was that? What was that?
That was Akbar Domestique right there. He said, him.
That was me losing a $5 is what that was.
No, that's a bigger fine than that. I feel like that
What?
should.
You can't make up the fines. They're agreed to.
Well,
So CBA?
Well, yeah, we have a set fine that people are supposed to pay into the Venmo bucket, and what I just did was a word garble, and a word garble is a $5.
Is it? Are we finding for
He's got 5 on it. Don't worry about it. He's got 5
All
on
right,
it.
so $5. So you were saying about adolescence.
I was saying that what they did with this kid is they brought him in and they just said, they gave him the script and they just started talking to him and saying, can you read some lines? They cast him and he ends up giving what is probably the best performance by a child actor, and without recency bias or hyperbole, that you'll see in your life. And will he grow up to be an amazing actor and to be Daniel Day-Lewis or Denzel Washington? Who knows? But he'll always have adolescence. But the reason to watch the show is that it is and I watched it with subtitles, even though it's in English, because there's Graham makes in the dialogue. It is really about how you deal with a child and how you deal with the internet and how you deal with thinking that you know what your child's doing when they close their door, and how kids, we all used to close our doors when we were growing up, except when we closed our doors, we were max from where the wild things are. It was just our imagination. Now kids, when they close their doors, it's actually opening a door to the entire world. And it scares that. Don't do it to me, Dan.
No, Jessica
Don't
was
tell
laughing
me
about.
that
I don't know what Jessica was laughing about. I want to know what she was laughing about.
Sorry, no, I just. Some people only need their imagination sometimes.
What wild things are?
Are we going to argue over the point that kids, when they're sent to their rooms and with electronic devices, have access to more things than when I was growing up and got sent to my room? It's a different world, and parents are on the other side of the door not understanding what's actually happening with a child.
No, we're
And
not going to
this
argue
show-
over that. That is very true. I agree with
And
you.
it should scare the bejesus out of us. And when you watch this 4-episode arc, you are seeing a manifestation of what could be happening in your very own house with your own kids. And it is horrifying. And it's not a horror movie. It is horrifying, but it is so well done, so well acted. And I just think it's critical that you all watch it.
David, quick question, because I haven't watched the show. Are you telling me in the show the kid gets like sent to his room for punishment and they let him take like his iPad with him?
No.
No.
I'll answer that for you,
I'm
Dave.
not-
No.
Okay.
All right, so just so that I can tell the audience what the show is, because it's worth watching. It's shot very well, differently, a lot of lingering shots, one-shots, and the child actor is extraordinary. But where you arrive if you're a parent watching this is on the playing of probabilities as a parent. You don't guarantee yourself anything, and whatever guilt you have as failing as a parent. It's heartbreaking, and it'll reach you what this is trying to tell the story of. It's not sending a kid to his room and bad things are happening there in a simplistic sense. Without spoiling the movie, a child is capable of murder. And you don't know it because you think you know your child. What happened?
Wait, what?
With an iPad?
Oh, you guys had
feel
no
like
idea?
that is-
With
I
electronics?
feel like that's exactly a spoiler.
Spoiler
Dan,
Wednesday,
are you
Dano. Come on, Dan.
Dan, to be fair, okay, and I'm on your side on this.
It is Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, but
Yeah.
if you look at the description on Netflix, the hook is there's something that happens where somebody's murdered.
That's all
not
I.
a
That's all I
spoiler.
even knew about the
That's not a
show
spoiler.
at this point. So
Okay.
let's defend Dan.
You're good, Dan.
You
You're
guys
good.
told me I was
That's
good
not
on
bad.
Wednesday.
Yeah, you're
You guys
good.
told
You know
me I
what?
was
You're
good on
good. You're
Wednesday.
good. You're
You
good.
guys
Yeah,
told
yeah,
me.
yeah.
The
If
way
it's
we
in
were-
the
description,
if it's in
you're
the
good.
description of the show, I don't
the
think it
way
can
we
be a
were
spoiler.
doing
in the
this,
description.
is you guys told me on Wednesdays I can say whatever I want. I can't say
That's
anything. I
about
can't say
Sunday
whatever I want
shows.
any other
That's
day.
about
But on
Sunday
Wednesdays I
shows.
can say whatever I want.
Sunday shows.
Also,
Sunday shows,
we
yeah.
had a strong 4-minute like prelude till that spoiler. So if anyone who's watching Adolescence hasn't got to that part, and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna keep listening,"
It's
that's
also
your
within
fault.
the first 6 seconds of the show.
Yes.
So you're okay.
We
But
should-
You're clear. You're
we,
good.
We should probably get back to Jimmy Butler.
no, please.
Oh.
No,
Are you sure?
No,
we
no,
could.
no, come on. No.
Steaks?
Dave,
I'd love to.
Steaks.
Dave, that third
Medium
episode,
rare.
the third episode, which is mostly focused on the young boy, his acting was incredible. So for you to tell me that he's never done acting
That's
before, he's
crazy.
never taken a
That's
class
crazy.
before, that
Ever.
third episode is solely focused on him and what happens in where he's at with whom he's with, and it's like, holy shit.
Hold on a
people are
second.
born
Can I,
with it.
can I ask you
Tony,
guys?
there could be 2 Emmys there, Billy. I'm sorry. There could be 2 Emmys won in that episode 3.
Yeah, yes.
Both the therapist and the boy.
Yes.
So can I ask you guys a question? So spoiler alert, spoiler Wednesday, spoiler alert. Turn off, and I can't spoil anything because I don't know. I'm just asking questions here. So this kid is never taking acting classes, but he played the role perfectly of a little kid that turns out to be a murderer.
Whoa, we don't
Like,
know.
We should
don't
probably
know.
start like
We
talking.
don't know
to
if he
someone.
did it. We don't know if
the
he
kid's
did it.
never learned how to act like a murderer and just naturally takes it up. I think we need to talk.
Billy,
to
as someone who also hasn't watched the show, let me answer your question. Some people are just born with it. Some
Wow.
people can become a character that they're not so convincingly that even local media people might be swayed to write things about these people. They're gifted, and we should cherish and praise them and really encourage. I hope this kid has supporting.
Foster it, yeah.
Yeah, like, hey, you should do more of this, kid. You should have more opportunities like this, and you should be compensated
while you're
handsomely
still on the
for it.
outside.
Yeah.
I mean, Amin is a top tier actor. We know that. It's a
movies.
Amin 1A, Greg Cody 1B in terms of actors
He was
on
just
the show.
so
He could have been
ass off.
Goggins, Dan.
Yeah.
2 movies. What can I say?
David, the baseball season is starting, and I don't know whether I could muster any enthusiasm from Billy on the baseball season because of the state of the Marlins.
Well, let me give you a way to do it. Tomorrow, all eyes are on Marlins Park. It's the best pitching matchup in all of baseball, happening only moments from your studio right now at about 4:10 p.m. It may be sold out, but I bet there's tickets on the secondary market. But Paul Skeens of the Pittsburgh Pirates, who is the favorite to win the Cy Young Award as a second-year player coming off his Rookie of the Year and third or second place finish last year, Jeremy, I don't remember which, is going against Sandy Alcantara, who's coming back from injury, who's been locked in already. This is a matchup that you're not going to get often throughout the season, whether you're a Dodger, Yankee, Mets fan, whoever you are. That's an unbelievable game. You may not have heard of the position players for the Marlins or the Pirates, but the good old-fashioned starting pitching matchup, get yourself to Marlins Park tomorrow for opening day.
They're also selling, I think, special like ticket packages where you can get like a commemorative shirt of the matchup. David, wouldn't you guys sometimes do things where like you would pitch your ace day 2 because you knew you were going to sell out opening day, and then it's like, well, you can see Jose game 2 though.
No, you want to line up your rotation for your best pitcher to start the first game, and we would always go against the other team's best pitcher, and we knew it. And remember, all the talk about who's your opening day starter, it doesn't really matter because the rotations change so much during the course of the season. But no, you want your best out there no matter what opening day.
Nothing Personal is the name of the podcast. He does it daily, beginning live every day at 8 a.m. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Something. So why is it called the Tic Tac UFO? This is freaking hilarious. So the guy that filmed it is named Commander Chad Underwood. He was under Commander David Fravor, who was head of the Black Aces. And when they engaged this UFO for the military, the guy comes back from filming this, and the stigma is so bad. So the guy's asking him, you know, kind of in the CIC, they call it, which is the Combat Information Center. They're saying, so what did it look like? And all this guy's thinking is like, if I tell him, it's going to sound crazy. So he started thinking about 80s movies. And he's like, Airplane. I remember that movie. And there's this great scene in Airplane where they're describing a plane. And he's like, it's cylindrical. It looks like, I don't know, a Tylenol with wheels. And he was like, I can't say Tylenol. That's too crazy. So he's like, looks like a Tic Tac, sir. So that's how it got the famous name, the Tic Tac UFO, because it was oblong. It was this kind of a chalkboard white, or kind of like drawing board white. And it was just an unbelievable machine that could do maneuvers that seemed immune to inertial effect. And what that means for people as about my level of smartness, which is I had to learn what inertial means. I looked it up on Google. But it's like the idea that it can move instantaneously without deceleration or acceleration. So this thing is going ping-ponging. Like imagine you take a glass of water or you take a glass that's empty and you put a ping pong ball inside and shake it around. That's how fast it worked. Normally, human beings that were occupying that craft would be turned into jelly because of the amount of force when they move at that rate and speed. So it's pretty amazing, actually. That's why they call it the Tic Tac UFO.
So I'm pretty fascinated by all of this. And right now it seems as though we're looking at the news and there's green lasers being shot down on top of Hawaii and chunks of the sun are flying off. And there's all these UFO sightings. Could it be China? Could it be all these weather balloons? I'm going to be real with you. Kind of feels like we're on the precipice of something bigger here, an invasion perhaps. Do you think that there is something out there that if it has this technology, it could destroy us if it wanted to?
Well, for sure, the technology that we are witnessing can be weaponized. And I'm going to shoot you straight here, and you don't need to believe me because we'll see if I'm right. But the technology itself can be weaponized. The propulsion systems themselves are a matter of national security, is my understanding from direct communications that I have with people. We're actually talking weapons of mass destruction. Imagine if you had a technology that was so powerful, it could bend space-time, it can bend gravity. That could be weaponized. Now, is this war of the worlds? No, we got Biden shooting down balloons over the US. It's so ridiculous. This has been with us for a long time. So if whoever operates these technologies, let it be terrestrial, some nation we don't know about that's just been here thousands of years, or if it is from somewhere else, and you choose your poison on that, non-terrestrial, non-human intelligence, other planets, other dimensions, I don't even know what that means. There's nothing to fear because it's been with us for a long time. And also, if this type of civilization or this type of entities that make these craft, if they wanted to hurt us, you figure they would. However, if you want to get dark and weird, I just released on our last episode something about cattle mutilations, which I had an allergy to. I was like, oh, what is this about? This has nothing to do with UFOs. God damn, was I wrong. Turns out the FBI studied this back in the day, and this is all documented. And you can look at the FBI files on cattle mutilations. So my question to you is, if you are raising a herd for food of cattle, do you feed them? Do you give them water? Do you give them antibiotics if they're sick? Do you actually genetically alter them in some way to make them better food for you? I sure hope that's not what's going on here. I don't think it is, and I'm kind of making a joke. But the point is, we haven't been harmed. Maybe we've been assisted. So whoever this is, whatever their intent, scientifically, we should look at this, we should explore it, and we should look at it sober-minded and reduce the stigma. If we can reduce the stigma, then we're going to see what's right in front of our eyes.
What can I, as a normal person, do about any of this?
I'm not sure you're a normal person. You could be a reptilian from Zorgon, but here's the deal. Good question. Normal person. What can you do? Be loud. Ask questions. Have normal conversations. Look at the evidence. Start listening. Watch the 60 Minutes episode with Commander Fravor and Dietrich was her name, another fighter pilot that saw the Tic Tac. Look at the releases that I put out. Watch the interviews I did on CNN. Watch and listen and try to understand the evidence. Now, I have just started dropping UFO bombs, right? I have been known or become known as somebody that obtains and releases as a journalist what was once classified, but the moment I make it public, it's unclassified because there's no designation, images of UFOs filmed by our military. And I'm telling you, I've just started. So pay attention, have conversations, do podcasts like you're doing, and maybe write some people, some representatives, and say, hey, I actually want to know. what's up? What's up with UFOs?
Do you have a best theory on what's happening right now in the news where the government is shooting stuff down and doesn't know what it is that it's shooting down, or claims that it doesn't know and won't reveal what it's shooting down?
Well, I don't know, a best theory. There's probably smarter people that got better theories than me, but here's the deal. My theory is just my observation. My observation is that I've looked at this for many years, and I talk with people on the Hill, in the Pentagon, in every agency you can imagine. I have people that inform me as a journalist. What I know is that this is a charade, that we know that these objects are always there, that we just change the settings on our radar because we don't want to see these objects because they don't have anything to do with flight safety. But then when you adjust that radar system and you get NORAD looking at this, they're everywhere, all the time, ubiquitous across the globe, not a US issue. It's everywhere. So what we're seeing now is kind of comical. We're like shooting at balloons with missiles that we know are Chinese reconnaissance balloons. Guess what? Chinese reconnaissance balloons, just like this one, been floating over our skies for more than 50 years. So why the theatrics? Why do we shoot a missile at it and barely hit it, by the way? Lower right, crazy. So here's the deal. I don't know. I don't know why they're doing this. All I know is that it's a story that got picked up. And if you know anything about media, it's pretty easy to get a story picked up if you're the Pentagon. So what's the point? Is it acclamation? No, they're going to say it's balloons because it is balloons. And I said that the day this started, what the real issue is, nobody wants you to know. And the real issue is that there's a technological nation or a technological entity that are making craft that are far beyond our knowledge. And we've been trying to reverse engineer them, and we can't. And we can't because of the material science. Until we learn how to replicate the physical materials, which would require atomic layering in zero gravity, as strange as that sounds, we're never going to get anywhere. But everybody's afraid that some other nation is going to figure what they call a derivative technology from the technologies that we have been reverse engineering.
Thank you, Jeremy. Again, the name of the podcast is Weaponized. I feel like we should all say it together in a way that brings attention to the podcast. Weaponized. Weaponized.
Weaponize your curiosity.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Weaponize.
Okay, and Chris, open your eyes, man.
No.
It's good. It's good. Stay that way.
We should go to the kook meter.
Yeah,
you have to.
You're a very moderate kook.
Right.
Like your kook level's not that high. You came on. You're very.
Oh, I'm way saner than you crazy-looking guy. But here's the deal. You know,
the beard.
We can use those words and we can point fingers and we can say that people aren't until you look at the facts. So there you go.
Jack.
Thank you, Jeremy, and also thank you, you crazy-looking guy.
He was complimenting you. I mean,
yeah, look, you're all really handsome. I don't know if this is just audio or it's visual, but you're all really handsome. So you got that going for you, and that's nice, as they say in Caddyshack. But you really got to up your game on UFOs.
Yes, agreed.
Okay.
Agreed. Thank you, sir.
we all do.
Dan and David Samson play Would You Attend the Funeral?
It is everyone's new favorite game. The premiere was unreal. The feedback, incredible.
Yes.
It is time to play Would You Attend Their Funeral? As always, I am your host, Mike Ryan Ruiz. I am joined by Dan Le Batard and David Samson, our contestants. The game is pretty easy. I throw out a name and I find out whether the contestant would attend their funeral. That's pretty it. It is dark, but isn't this music happy? First up on today's edition of Would You Attend Their Funeral, Dan Le Batard. Dan, first off, how you doing today? Nice to meet you. It says here you're a sports writer from Miami. That's a fun job, isn't it?
Avid river rafter.
Dan,
he actually did write something recently. That was pretty good, Dan.
Thank you,
We'll get to David in a second. Dan, would you attend Mitch Albom's funeral?
Oh, wow. Detroit, too, probably. Yeah.
This is why this game is.
You're allowed one follow-up, and only if that question is a funeral in Detroit, to which I say yes.
This is why. This is one of the many reasons why this is the greatest game show ever invented. And it's unfair that Mike knows me this way.
Sounds like a no.
Because he's just picking people who are like right on the line of where it is.
That's the point of the game.
That's the beauty of the game.
But you got to pick these people well. Is my
Mitch
point.
Albom.
Ricky Williams wouldn't be fun.
He's not making it easy to say yes or no, but the answer to your question is yes, I would. I very much admire Mitch Albom.
I'm sorry, that's an incorrect answer. We had it as you wouldn't. All right, so moving over to David Samson. David, it says here you're a former team president of a Major League Baseball team that actually won a World Series. That must have been fun.
It didn't suck.
All right, your question. Ricky Nolasco.
Oh, wow.
Would you attend Ricky Nolasco's funeral?
That is a tough one, man.
So Ricky Nolasco,
He's listening to this too, by the way.
He will give you a 4.5, 5 ERA for 15 years of throwing slop balls up there.
True.
No, he was much better than that.
To give
That's
you a peek,
totally incorrect.
Not at the end, he wasn't. The last.
He's one of like the all-time leaders in Marlins history.
No, but like the last 7 years.
No, not true. Not true.
I got to go look it up.
At all.
You had him having 7 bad years as a Marlin?
No, I have him having 7 years at the end of his career where his ERA is between 4.5 and 5. Between 4 and 5.
Starting pitchers in Major League Baseball.
Well, no, Dan is right. Yeah, it's mid-5s, mid-6s the last 6 or 7 years. Yeah, David, I'm looking at it. Yes.
He was mid-6s the last 7 years of his career.
I said mid-5s, mid-6s last,
Not sure how he
6 or
stayed
7
up that
years.
long.
Yeah.
But would you go to his funeral?
Peek behind the curtain. This question was almost for Dan, given that they were neighbors at one point. But David, would you attend Ricky Nolasco's funeral?
Yes.
Is that one of the ones where you have to text around? Like you're texting Larry Beinfest and Mike Hill to see if they're going. And if they're not, you're like, I think I'm good.
I love where your head's at. I love where your head's at.
Yeah.
We would now, if it's like a mass accident where there's multiple players like that who have died at once, we would divide and conquer.
Come on.
What are we doing here?
I'm telling you that's when we'd text.
Come on.
Because we wouldn't be able to all go to all of them.
If there was a mass killing of former Marlins, you guys would text.
What are you doing?
Not a mass killing, just an accident or something. We've talked about this.
You have all the former Marlins pitchers in a van together? I mean...
Yeah, you never know. We actually have a book in place about what to do in case of a major accident. There's a system. Every team in Major League Baseball has to have that about what you do.
This took a dark turn.
Yeah, I mean, the game
What do you mean?
in itself is a dark turn.
My point is that we were already in a dark room, and now we've walked into another corner of the dark room. Now you've got, how do you handle if several of your friends die in a terrible accident at the same time? Totally different game show.
Dan, second question for you. Would you attend Joy Taylor's funeral?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
He's going to lie again.
What do you mean lie again?
You're not going to Mitch Albom's funeral, Dan.
Why? Wait a minute. I drove my mother 3 hours to go see Mitch Albom one time, publicly speaking. Why would you say that I would not go?
Would you fly 3 hours to see his casket?
Your mom wanted to see it.
No, but I'm saying...
What does that have to do with anything?
But Mitch Albom's a mentor of mine. He was doing all of this before we were doing it.
Guys, he's establishing his bona fides. Just,
keep your eye on the ball. If Joy Taylor croaks, are you attending the funeral?
Yes, I'm going to that funeral.
Right, good. That's another check.
Aspirational at best, Dan. Aspirational at best.
So far, we're attending everybody's funeral.
It's
right.
That shows how
the game is
unrealistic
less
it is.
fun when you do that.
David Samson, would you attend Rich Waltz's funeral?
No.
Wow.
Wow. That was a very quick no.
Jeez.
Jesus.
A remarkably quick no.
Well,
we're trying to get rolling into the next round.
I appreciate it. You're winning this game just based off of time of possession.
Consideration.
Not a second. Man. Not a second. Cares not for Rich Waltz.
This is the most arbitrary rating system since Tony Reale.
Well, he's telling the truth. I mean.
Not afraid to be honest.
Dan, would you attend Rick Tellender's funeral?
Oh, wow. Tellender. What a big part of
Dan's
the
like,
show.
damn, I got to work in a no sometime.
You do have to establish a line here, Dan. I mean, otherwise you're attending everyone's
Is it the calendar line?
Stugotz, I know that you're an expert at everything you arrive at, but I played this game last week, okay?
I'm sorry.
I gave the nose that made
But
the
right
game.
now you're losing.
I understand how the game is funny, and I also understand how to win.
Yeah.
But Mike is putting this on a line that is making my answers have to be considered.
Uh-huh.
Unlike...
Geez, David, are you seeing how long this guy's taking? It's ridiculous.
By the way, we're all going to be dead by the time he
All right,
answers this.
okay.
You don't go to that many funerals, Dan. It just doesn't work
All right,
that way
well,
in the real world.
you listen to me, Samson. My list, my part of the. You handle your part of the game show. I'll handle mine. Okay.
You're taking too damn long.
Rick Tellender. All right, just give me a second. Rick Tellender. Just because this is there's a reason for this. Rick Tellender. Okay.
We get it. I'm a very good host that asks very difficult questions. Would you attend Rick Tellender's funeral?
Let me preface this by saying Rick Tellender is an inspiration. I would not attend his funeral.
All right.
Finally.
There we go.
All right.
It's tied now.
David Samson.
I'm legitimate friends
You have
with
to
Rick
apologize to Rick Tellender now.
I'm going to call him afterward and explain this to him.
Dave Hyde texted me after last week's show, by the way.
Wow, pick that name up. David Samson.
Slightly concerned at the fact that people would or would not be attending his funeral, and he wanted to point out, for clarity purposes, that he would not be attending mine.
Mike, at the risk of making the game too long, do you want to explain to the national audience who some of these people are?
Joy Taylor is Colin Cowherd's co-host. There's a relationship there because she hosted locally. Also happens to be Jason Taylor's sibling. Rick Tellender is a Chicago sports writer that would join our show often. Mitch Albom, I'm not really sure what he does.
An author.
Is that so?
Really?
Huh.
If
I'll
you
check
say
him out,
so.
maybe.
Yep.
Ricky Nolasco would hang curveballs like the devil. David, would you attend Javier Vasquez's funeral?
Wow.
No.
That was quick.
Not a quick no. You're winning this game today.
Because that's a schlep to Puerto Rico right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I have in Puerto Rico, I've got to go to Tony Perez's in Puerto Rico. So there's only so many times I'm going to go to funerals there.
David, do you think Ricky Nolasco would attend your funeral?
No.
David, how long is your list? Like you said last week, the way that this game, the origins of it are you were talking to your friends and you have a list. So how long is your list? Basically, Mike is just either the names Mike is offering are on your list or they're not already. You've made these decisions.
Correct.
How long's your list?
Now, keep in mind, as we talked about last week, and it's worth repeating, all the answers we give on this show, the caveat is always the circumstance. Right? It's the timing and the circumstance and around the death. That has an impact on whether or not, like if Ricky Nolasco were in Miami and I was there and I was with him and he passed away and he wasn't married at the time, I would stay in Miami and go to the funeral. I wouldn't fly to California. That's all. So yes, my list is already done, as I think everybody's is, but maybe just people don't admit it.
Dan, would you attend Michael Kay's funeral?
Man, that's a tough one.
God, I talked to him quite a bit. No, I would not.
Wow. You got some calls to make today, my friend.
Apology tour. David, would you attend former Marlins public relations maven Matt Roebuck's funeral?
I like him a lot, but I would not. I would send a note, though.
That's nice.
No, that doesn't mean
You can't
anything.
read it.
What is that? I would send a note.
That is a great joke, too, guys.
Thank you.
I would send a note.
I would send a note.
I mean, it's the bare minimum.
Maybe some bagels to the Shiva.
Okay.
That is good stuff out of Stugotz there. Dan, Dan, would you attend Randy Scott's funeral?
Oh, man.
Oh, come on, man.
I'll represent for you, Dan. I'll go.
I'd go.
Everybody would go, but this question's for Dan.
Yeah.
You'd go without me.
Oh, no!
Wow.
Oh, Randall.
Man.
What about, Dan, when you do this, you could have people who work for you as your representatives, and that counts as going.
Because
Like
they
when
wouldn't
the
show up.
They're going on your behalf.
I understand, but none of that. If I sent Stugotz on my behalf, what do you think that would end up with his plane ticket on eBay?
I'd sell tickets to Randy Scott's funeral.
No, you would your plane ticket. You would sell it and then expense it and not go. That's correct.
I like Randy.
David, would you attend Donald Fear's funeral?
No.
Quick nose. Care to elaborate?
Head of the Players Union, former head.
There'd be no reason to go to his funeral.
Jeez, damn, that's cold. Dan Jimmy Pitaro.
Holy bleep.
I would say be careful.
Yep.
No,
very
you
careful.
got to give an honest answer here.
Be careful.
Got to keep your options open.
I would not.
What? Oh, no.
For sure. That was an easy no, Mike. Easy no.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of Would You Attend Their Funeral?
When will this old couple die?
Let's play another clip from Billy Gill and Chris Cody doing Marlins spring training baseball on the radio.
We should get through the Trevor Rogers stuff early, though, because he's probably only going to go 4, right?
Well, last time he went 4. It would be really good if he went maybe 5.
That damn Jordan Walker wasn't fouling off so many pitches, you know?
Did you just swear on the air?
Oh, can I not say that?
No. Let's refrain. Might have to hit the dump button back in the station, folks. Here's a swing of a line drive up the middle and a base hit for Nolan Gorman, leading off the top of the second inning.
I thought I was coming in hot last inning. Billy really just taking the mantle.
Yeah.
See, all right, so the issue here is Kyle is very rarely around cursing. So I think damn is safe. Billy called some player this damn guy, and you should have seen Kyle was just like trying to do the call. I think we need to dump this back in the studio. Like Kyle was freaking out. I don't think it's a curse word. I think they were safe, but it was just funny to see the fear on Kyle and Billy, because you know Billy, he's a rebel rouser, but he doesn't actually want to offend any. So when he thought, oh my God, I just cursed and they had to dump something, the look on Billy's face was the best part of that.
Imagine if he said stovetop pudding.
Did you just swear on the air?
Oh, can I not say that?
No. Let's refrain. Might have to hit the dump button back in the station, folks. Here's a swing of a line drive up the middle and a base hit.
That wasn't all Billy did to bring it to a dark place. You got to play this clip. It's a little bit longer, but it's chef's kiss here from Billy.
I have a morbid question for you, Kyle.
Oh, fire away. Now we're talking.
Okay, so you see this man that's walking here. He's walking in with a Cardinals jersey that says "Together." Older gentleman.
Yep, he's got the cream-colored jersey on.
Yeah, so he has a jersey that says "Together." And then presumably, oh yeah, there you go. The person
they've been together since
and
19.
And we don't see the second number. Right.
Oh,
that's adorable.
Well, yes. Heaven forbid though, one of them passes.
Oh wow.
Do you retire the jersey?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think the question is, do you put it in like a case? Do you frame it? First pitch of Joey Wendell's a called strike.
Maybe you buried it with the person, right?
Boy, we have taken a dark turn. You're right. Yikes. Maybe. The 0-1. Swing and a miss. You can go ask him. That'd be wild.
I mean, he's kind of close. We could just shout down. No, let's not.
No, let's not. You erred on the side of caution there. That's good.
1968. Together since 1968.
Oh, they have a long way to go.
Do they?
0-2, swing and a miss. They've been together 55 years, those two lovebirds.
That's beautiful.
You don't care.
Solid math.
What do you mean I don't
from
care?
Kyle.
I love love.
Kyle, did we pull the calculator out on the computer? Or was
Not
that
my phone. It was on my phone.
I must hate you guys so much. Like it's unbelievable that that's
the 2-2.
That's always funny. The 0-1.
Have you been served?
Welcome, everybody, to the David Samson Show. It happens every Thursday, for the most part, here on the local hour. David is the host of Nothing Personal, and you can follow him on Twitter, at David P. Samson. We begin in the obvious place. Dan, have you been subpoenaed?
I have not.
Ooh, you're named in the lawsuit. That's an upset. That's my new game show. Have you been subpoenaed?
Wow.
Dave, have you been subpoenaed?
Yes.
In the Sage Steele lawsuit?
Oh, no, not in that one. I thought you just meant in general, like a Tuesday.
We knew that. I mean,
I have never been subpoenaed in any way, and I do not have any history with subpoenas.
Have you ever been served?
No.
Oh, I had such a funny thing on Nothing Personal today about Jason Sudeikis serving Olivia Wilde in the middle of her being on stage.
The reports are that he didn't do that on purpose. The timing.
I
That's
doubt
horse
that he
hockey.
would. Ooh, you think he did that on purpose? Man,
I'm with Samson on this one.
He's bought so much with just via Ted Lasso that I would say Jason would never intend for this.
So the way it works when you hire a service processor is their job is to get that lawsuit served. And if Olivia Wilde does not want to be served, you have to sort of spy on her and figure out where she's going to be, where in public she's going to be, and then you just serve her. And that counts as a service of process, but you're always keeping your client in the loop. It's not like you call.
I don't know what Amin is doing. He's smiling. There have been 3 times during the show today that I'm pretty sure Amin is laughing at things that don't have much of anything to do with what we're doing on the show. I think just now, I don't know what to do with this, Jessica, because we've been doing 2 hours of show unevenly. And Amin said right before we turned on the microphones, as I was headed toward other subject matter, we buried the lead on the Jimmy Butler thing.
Yeah.
Like, I know, but Jessica, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, what am I supposed to do?
I mean, you already lost your bet, so stakes on you. Second of all, very dangerous game when you call someone out for laughing off air, and then they have to think of something to say. Just happened to me the last time. I didn't want to say what I was thinking. I made something up. I don't even know what I said.
Jessica?
You just did it to Amin. Amin,
Jessica.
tell us why you're laughing, Amin.
Jessica.
Because I sent him a funny Sesame Street tweet. That's why.
Sunny days.
Sesame Street.
It was a funny one, right, Amin?
It was hilarious.
Jessica.
So Grover had this like hilarious fake mustache and a hat on. And I said, that's you.
I wanted Jessica.
Akbar?
You're right. That's Akbar.
So badly in the last hour to have the words that you were saying to Billy behind a hand while laughing, because you didn't want the cameras to catch whatever it is that you were saying, Billy. I've wanted those words for about 35 minutes.
I don't know. What did you say to me?
But it was like a mound visit.
It was like LeBron. It was like LeBron and Wade. She was hiding. I was in the middle of talking, and she was laughing and hiding her hand from me and the audience.
I was trying not to be distracting.
I've wanted those words for 35 minutes.
It is allergy season. Maybe she had to sneeze.
No, it was pretty clear she was just laughing with you on a Wild Willy Wednesday.
Me?
That's right. There are 2 serious things that I actually wanted to get to with Amin that we have not gotten to. The Cain Velasquez story is something that I wanted to get to. And before we got to that, I wanted to talk for a second because I did think that something interesting actually ended up springing from all of that Jackie Robinson Defense Department stupidity from last week. Whether it comes to do any of you find yourself alarmed that when it comes to artificial intelligence, the stories you get are about the Enola Gay being removed from the record books temporarily because of a World War II bomber from Hiroshima had the word gay in it, and Jackie Robin's history has obviously black in it. Are you at all confused and scared that artificial intelligence is literally trying to erase humanity with these stories that are coming out about stupidities, because you've got artificial intelligence handling how it is that things are seen as equal?
It's not artificial intelligence doing it. Like people are using an AI tool to scrape things from websites, but it's people that are behind it. And also what I'm scared about is that's the second worst thing that's happened around the DOD in this past week. Like there is another ginormous scandal unfolding.
And that one ain't AI.
That's correct.
That's
human error.
Human error.
Inordinate stupidities where war plans are being sent accidentally to the wrong journalist.
Not just to the wrong person, to a journalist, right? Like of all the people, like not my nanny, not like.
Was it Adam?
They said, the Adam Schefter, right?
Not wrong Adam.
Adam Lichtenstein is who we're talking
Adam
about.
from the Sun Sentinel, a star of Oddball.
Oh, there you go.
How would Amin know who that is?
Yeah,
Akbar met him.
I wanted to bring David Samson back because I wanted to do a Patrick. I didn't even get to the real parts of these two stories.
We'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. We'll get back to it.
No, because it's the one of the things that sprung from the Jackie Robinson just sheer stupidity. You can't even do funny with it. It's just so dumb. Is that RG3 is going on Stephen A. Smith's show. This is after RG3, he was trying to make the rounds recently. He reached out to Jamel, reached out to our show. There was something that he wanted to correct because when it came to Jackie Robinson, he had tweeted out, I just miss when sports shows were about sports. And he went on Stephen A. Smith's show and he explained something that I had not considered when I saw that, as people turned RG3 into whatever it is that they are willing to say when they say he's not black enough. RG3 came out and was hurt and was viewing it through the narcissistic eyes of, I want sports shows to be sports shows because when they used to talk about me on First Take, Rob Parker was calling me a cornball brother, and it was a black guy saying another black guy wasn't quite black enough for his taste, and I've been that since. I had never heard it before, and I've been that since for people because I've married a white woman and because of whatever you think of my politics that makes Stephen A. comfortable enough to say on his show, hey, nobody at ESPN liked you, RG3. I liked you, saying Stephen A. Smith, but no one there liked you because you were somebody who didn't fit. And so RG3 brought the perspective of, I wanted to be talking about sports, not whether I'm black enough. This is something that I run into a lot with certain black athlete friends of mine where they're too white for black people and too black for white people. And so they find this space where all of a sudden that's what they're talking about on First Take. And RG3 has to represent a certain kind of black.
Yeah. For what it's worth, RG3's defense, as I heard it, not on the show, but behind the scenes as someone who got reached out to, is that his comment had nothing to do with Mina. It was he didn't even know Mina had said that or gone on the show.
Okay,
but because he didn't, I'm just telling you. I'm not. Don't shoot.
Don't shoot the message, you guys. Just trying to tell a story.
I'm not doing that to you. I'm derisively doing that to RG3.
But basically, he's saying that like it was said, not according to what Mina was talking about. It just happened simultaneously. Like he had the worst timing ever. To which I responded to an intermediary. Then why didn't you immediately just say, hey, by the way, I'm not I see a lot of people saying, connecting me to this. I'm not. And then I got sent what his correction was, and it was as convoluted as anything I've ever seen. But I kind of saw the seeds of him trying to say, oh, it wasn't about Mina, but he said it in such a convoluted way that it didn't really land.
Yeah, it's just unsurprising, right? Like that's RG3 is one of several people in the sort of sports media landscape who will just say anything for clicks, right? I mean, that's what that was. That's putting something out there at a time when the topic was the topic du jour, and he knew that would be divisive, and not only knew it would be divisive, he knew the specific audience that he was attracting with it.
I would say, Jeremy, the only thing I would say is I'm willing to accept that he didn't know that she said that and had no idea. But once he saw the fervor and furor, instead of like saying,
let it sit there on purpose. That's fair.
Absolutely, because it's pretty easy to me if I was talking about something and someone said, "Oh, you said that about Dan Le Batard?" I'm like, "Oh no, I didn't even hear what Dan said." I would go immediately and correct.
24 hours he let that sit there.
Yeah, so it is what it is.
David Samson, I never got to the Patrick Ewing off with you and Amin, and I meant to. Are you ready to do that now? You say it's your wheelhouse. Amin says he's got a better wheelhouse than your wheelhouse. Can you please tell me what a wheelhouse is? I don't even know what an actual wheelhouse is.
House of Wheels.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you know what a wheelhouse is?
Has to do with boating, I would assume.
Wheel? Buses?
I don't know. Do any of you know what a wheelhouse is?
According to artificial intelligence on Google, it says that in your wheelhouse originates from the nautical term for small enclosed area on a ship where the captain steers. So score one for Billy.
A seaman.
Oh.
Dan.
David.
That's a raise for him, by the way, Dan.
Only if it makes it. Only if it makes it all the way. Gets to the end zone, then yes.
I think
I'm 2 for 2.
It's a great
We need the third one, though. That's where the money comes
Red
in.
zone conversion.
Billy, the way that you describe being married, where you have to go to a NASCAR race in order to get a piece of quiet.
That was a private conversation. I just said I got some peace and quiet over the weekend. You said where? I said at Homestead Miami Speedway during the NASCAR race. The loudest place to have some quiet time.
You're going to learn not to tell Dan things.
Just, a moment that I was sitting there in the grandstand, and I thought, man, I could just think here if it wasn't so damn loud, but this is also the quietest it's been in a long time. Anyways, David, if I were to tell you, guess which sports a young Patrick Ewing excelled at as a child, which sports would you say?
I have no idea. I would say that it seems hard to imagine that he was late to basketball, but I guess it's possible. So I would assume it's not tennis.
Can I steal?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was late to basketball because he emigrated here from Jamaica. So he played soccer and volleyball.
You got one of the two. He played soccer and cricket.
Cricket.
Huge in Jamaica.
That's a wheelhouse, right there, knowing what he did in Jamaica.
Okay. No, guess what, man? When you like the sport, you know everything. You don't just know, I know for the 7 years.
You know half the things because you got volleyball wrong. So
your question, did Patrick Ewing win Rookie of the Year?
He sure did.
David, please spell Patrick Ewing's middle name.
Is it A-L-A-N?
It does start A-L. That's close.
What is it?
Alistair.
It's A-L-O-Y-S-I-U-S.
Aloysius.
So far, our wheelhouse guys have gotten just about everything wrong. Like when Amin tries to steal it, he steals it incorrectly.
Well, close enough. Closer than David.
And David thinks his name's Alan, but other than that, we're close.
I was just looking over at the signed pair of Game U sneakers I have, and he doesn't spell out his full name.
All right, here's a question.
But he does sign it with C33.
Okay, here's a question. What size sneaker does David Samson own autographed by Patrick Ewing?
Amin, do you know his foot size? So there's a funny thing about this story. If Patrick Ewing does not have large feet at all. And I would assume, as I'm looking, it's probably only a 12 to a 13, and that's it.
Patrick Ewing wears 13s. Yes, it's up to you to confirm.
David has the shoes. You can see. I don't know the size. It says 15 here, but that doesn't sound right compared to what you guys are saying.
Same as Lehman.
Yeah, small feet.
You guys are getting everything wrong.
Because I'm not a. It's not a.
You guys said. David, how do you not know the size of the shoes that you've purchased that are in your house? How could you get that wrong?
I literally could care less how big his foot is. Oh. I have the shoes because of the meaning of those shoes in my life, not the fact that they're a 12 or a 15 or a 20. I have Shaq shoes because I can live in them, and those are like a 24, Amin, and those are just shocking. They're so heavy to even lift. Patrick's shoes are just normal.
I worked with a guy, I know.
Okay, so next question. Amin, what do those shoes mean to David Samson?
The world.
Look at me, Leroy.
Uh-oh. Is that for David?
That was You worked with him, is what you said of Shaq? You're in the tank for Shaq.
I'm not in the tank. I work with the guy.
That's his guy, though. He showed up to the funeral.
Do we believe that Shaq forgot that he bought a car and it just showed up at his house?
And there are cameras. There are cameras there.
Exactly right.
There are
Like
cameras,
that was a lot. Why does he do these things? You know Shaq. Why does Shaq do these things?
Because he thinks it's funny. Like I'll be honest with you. Like, and by the way, 90% of the stuff doesn't make it out for a variety of reasons. Not the least of which is you can't do that one, big fella. I'm gonna tell you right now, you can't do that. I'll tell a story. Remember when he called Chris Bosh the RuPaul of big men? You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
So what happened was Shaq caught the ball and made a legal basketball move, and Chris Bosh over exaggerated the reaction. Refs toss him. Flagrant 2, you're out, right? And this is before they could review these things. So Shaq comes to the back and sits in with us in the video room, and he's literally workshopping all the things he's going to say about Chris Bosh at the end. And we're like, big fella, you can't say that one. No, you can't. You cannot say that. That's not. So then we say, what if I say he's the RuPaul of big men? And we all looked around the room and we're like, I think that's just on this side of acceptable. Like,
this is why DEI should exist in all organizations.
Towing the line.
Amin was there. What do you mean
Towing the
DEI?
line.
Amin was there.
I can think of some other voices that might not have loved RuPaul of big men.
But it doesn't really mean anything.
Does it not?
And yet it means everything, right?
It does.
That's why it toes the line.
I would side with Jeremy on this one.
That Kevin Durant toe on the line.
Not surprised, though. We're too woke.
In 1984 at the Olympics, when Patrick Ewing was one of the players for Team USA to win the gold medal, what jersey number did he wear?
I'll give it to you, David. I think I know which one, but go ahead.
My best guess would be 6.
Me too. 6.
It was number 6.
The Wheelhouse, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. That includes the Wheelhouse. Thank you, David. Thank you.
David, one last thing for the Wheelhouse. Patrick Ewing went to as many NBA Finals as Jimmy Butler. You still throw that out there. Oh, wait,
And
time
they have
out.
the same number of rings.
That's not correct.
What do you mean?
Is that correct?
Yes. They
So
went
what-
to the same number of. You know what?
It's his wheelhouse, Dan.
And you know what?
Not
And-
yours.
hold on. Let me give you another one. Jimmy Butler played more NBA Finals games than Patrick Ewing did. You know why? Because Patrick Ewing didn't play in them second finals. He was sitting, nursing a wrist injury by who was the guy that hurt him and what city?
It was 1999, and I
Yes.
don't remember. I mean, I
Okay.
just know that it was a nightmare that he couldn't play. That was when I believe we beat the Heat as an 8 seed that year.
Yes.
That was the Allen
Shut
Houston shot in Miami.
Game 5.
But 1994 was when Jordan was retired, and we got 7. He got 7 finals games. So he's played a total of 7 finals games, 2 finals, no rings.
Yes. The other finals he didn't play, Dan, was because he was hurt. They lost to the Spurs in 5 games, but Jimmy Butler played in his 5 games. I also want to throw out real quick, David, they beat the Heat in the first round, 3-2. Who did they play in the second round that year?
They played the Pacers in the 3rd round. The second round could have been the Hawks.
Yes, and what was the series?
We would have gotten that. It didn't go 7, so I'm going to say 6.
Sorry, it was a sweep. Go ahead. Go back to your little wheelhouse.
Okay, no, you guys stink at Wheelhouse.
I don't know. That was pretty good off the top of his head for someone that's not supposed to be an expert.
No, but he's picking the facts that he knows, and we asked them questions, and they got them all wrong. Thank you, David, for being on with us and
Bravo, David.
Showing off of your expertise. Before the end of the show, I want this bet with Jessica, but in the meantime, we've got a stat of the day involving Jimmy Butler.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Stat of the day is presented by Miller Lite.
In his triumphant return to Miami, Jimmy Butler was outscored by both Davion Mitchell and Alec Burks as the Warriors scored the second fewest points that they've scored in a game this season.
The laziest stat of the day ever. The laziest stat of the day ever.
What would you have preferred? I mean,
a stat of the day that was actually insightful.
You've cheapened the stat of the day. The stat of the day is to be respected, and it's almost always great. That was not great. That just stunk as a stat of the day. The stat of the day is meant to resonate historically. Like, it's meant to be something you remember and maybe tell your friends later.
Something that people who don't know the show might hear and repeat. Like, wow, Shohei Ohtani did all of that on half a tank of gas or whatever. Like, that's what it should be. Now, Dan, I want to present a theory, if I may. I think that Jeremy was a plant. I think Jessica was like, hey, let me get multiple stakes on this. Jeremy, get Dan to say Jimmy Butler one more time. And Jeremy said, I got it right now. I'll pretend I have a stat of the day. And then Dan, he knows Dan can't resist the stat of the day. It's like putting steak in front of him. Right? Like, oh my God, a stat of the day.
Well, it's like tuna steak.
Tuna steak, tuna steak in front of him. And so they say, okay, Dan, we got a stat of the day. And of course, Dan takes the bait because how could he not take the bait?
We have not made the bet yet, and therefore I can say Jimmy Butler's name and talk about him as much as I like, because the bet will be made toward the end of the show if we remember. We often don't remember.
Can we negotiate
things around
now?
here.
Also, it was always multiple stakes.
Steaks, that's
like
right.
we're starting at the starting point is at least 2 steaks.
Kalel Ware outscored him too.
I don't think that. I think the bet has to have greater stakes than that. I think it needs to be. If we're going to build it up all show, we've got.
I agree, but
it's got to
2
have some
stakes
consequences.
are included.
I mean, steaks are pretty good.
I
steaks.
also agree when the stat of the day is like, hey, 20 points is more than 18 points.
Yeah,
It's not the
that
best.
stinks.
Kyle Anderson was plus 24.
It stings. And thank you for all of your hard work. And when I say that, it wasn't hard work at all. It was incredibly lazy. So I wanted to talk about something here, March Madness related. Can you get? Can we get a poll together on the following? Because somebody made a $5 bet, $5 on the following parlay. Dodgers to win the World Series. This is from last year. Dodgers to win the World Series.
Check.
Ohio State to win the national championship in football.
Check.
The Eagles to win the Super Bowl.
Check.
Tennessee to win in college baseball, to win the College World Series.
Check.
Still on the way.
And now they have Duke to win the national championship. What do you think that should pay? A $5 bet that has those 5 in play. What do you think that should pay roughly?
5 figures at least.
5?
Yeah.
I'm going
High 5 figures.
I'm going $37,000.
No, that's close
Low?
to like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000.
70? 73,000.
So it's $168,000 on a $5 bet. And what I wanted to ask you guys is, what is the correct way to hedge that? Like, because I'm not I'm a terrible gambler.
Amateur.
Like a really terrible gambler. I'm not good at it in any way. DraftKings should be ashamed for giving me any of their money, but I give it all right back.
Don't say that. It's a contract year.
I'm just saying, like, I could be the worst gambler there's ever been because I just want to have one bet on one game, but a lot of games.
He is the perfect person for DraftKings to pay because, as he just said, he's going to take all of that money right back into the sportsbook app.
They might as well be laundering their money right back to them.
Well, no. Where's that music?
So my guess is he'll win $7 million.
We already gave it. You weren't listening.
Yeah.
We already gave the answer, but that's excellent producing.
You got to let it ride, Dan, because Duke is the favorite right now. Tennessee in baseball.
You got to let it ride. You guys wouldn't hedge that? You guys. So wait a minute, Tony. I know that's not true. Tony, Tony, you just had a baby. If you made a $5 bet and you need now Duke to win the national championship for $168,000, you have to hedge that. And I'm asking you, how do you hedge it? Do you bet $10,000, $20,000 on their next 4 opponents as you go to make sure that you guarantee yourself X? What's the lowest amount of money? Now, I know some people would just sell this ticket. This ticket might go. Somebody might buy this ticket for $70,000. Like, this is something that is done, and that's how you get out. But how do you hedge this bet? I'm sure a professional gambler would easily answer this question, but I don't know how to do it.
So I was confused. I thought it was Tennessee baseball from this season.
Yeah.
But it's from last season, so they already won.
They won it in May of 2024.
Gotcha, so it was last season.
Do we know when this parlay bet was placed? Because if it was after May of 2024, then we're talking about this upcoming College World Series.
No, it was last College World Series.
No,
the four bets have won.
They've already cashed everything else. So
Duke is the only thing remaining.
Got it.
So how do forgive me for not explaining that correctly. Yeah. It's been an affliction today.
So should the poll be, should this person hedge or should they write it out?
Well, first of all, I'm asking you guys. We'll get to the poll in a second. Thank you, Billy. Perhaps you can help me with that and create the poll yourself.
I'll go first, Dan. I don't know.
Good, I know.
I have no idea.
I don't know. Look, I'm not going to say it's in the same zip code as that stat of the day, but it's close.
It's close, yeah.
Move off of looking for me to answer because I don't know.
All right, Dan,
Tony's
so here's the thing. So the cash out, I just looked it up. The cash out for the guy is $50,000. So if I tell my wife, look, baby, listen, we got $50,000 cash for sure. Obviously, Uncle Sam's going to take his piece. Things are going to happen, whatever. But Duke right now, is steamrolling teams. Like, they are not close. Like, they are just beating teams. Their third guy is great, okay? You've seen Cooper Flag, right? You get Cooper Flag. She's like, oh, yeah, I saw him in the select thing and the thing on Max. I was like, yep. Same guy. He's incredible. He's going to be the number 1 pick. Maybe the Wizards, maybe the Hornets, who knows? Not the point. The point is, he's the best player in college basketball. Right now, Duke is churning. They're the best Duke team we've seen in maybe 20 years.
A long time. It's been a long time.
Baby, You know what's better than 50 grand cash?
What's that?
After Uncle Sam taking his piece, which, we're going to leave me with like 30 something.
Okay.
You know what's better than that?
What's better?
168 grand.
What? That's a lot of money.
And I tell baby, hey, all of a sudden, Miami real estate, you know how it is.
So
we take that money,
Jessica's saying she doesn't know, and I don't know, and there is a professional way to do this. But what I'm asking all of you is the hypothetical. Would you guys hedge that, or would you just try and ride it out? Because I would assume all of you would hedge it to guarantee yourself an amount of money that doesn't wait for whether or not Cooper Flagg's ankle goes again. And Duke can win it, obviously, without Cooper Flagg.
Well, I don't know if they can win it without
It makes
Cooper
it
Flagg.
easier with Cooper Flag.
Yeah, Cooper Flag.
I think you have to wait till you get to the final and then just absolutely monster hedge on the other team, right? Because you're still waiting. Because right now you can't just pick Duke or the field for $50,000. I can't take a second mortgage, a HELOC out of my house, and then put it on the field.
I do think that because it was a $5 bet from the jump, this changes a lot, right? Like if it was a huge bet with then a huge payout, maybe you continue to invest. But the fact that you only put $5 on it, it's like ride what that feels like until the end. And maybe you don't come up with $168,000, but in the worst case, you lost $5.
But that's
no, but you lost $50,000. You didn't lose $5. The worst case is you lost 50. What kind of math are you doing?
Terrible math.
This is why I was a journalism major, Dan.
He couldn't sell it to his wife. That's the issue.
Nah, there you go. Number one. Number two, this is what's giving you that kind of stat of the day. Arithmetic.
Okay, why is he in charge of the stat of the day if he doesn't know basic math?
We're understaffed.
I was really good at calculus.
Were you?
Yeah, I was great. Yeah, I got a 5 on the AP exam.
U plus me equals us.
There it is. 50 grand, Dan. 50 grand's a lot of money.
Yeah. 168's more.
What I'm asking you guys is, do you have the confidence in Duke to lose $118,000? Do you have the confidence in Duke to bet $118,000 that they're going to win their next 4 games?
Tony, got to sell it again. Hold on.
Again, Cooper Flag, you seen him, Dan. You saw when they threw him that alley-oop, and he screamed as he dunked. And then he got off, and the crowd was like, ah!
Is there a cash-out option for $50,000?
Yeah.
Right now.
Right now, he can cash out for 50K.
Cash out, walk
but
away.
again, Uncle
Billy,
Sam
have you not
takes
been
his.
listening to this
He
segment?
hasn't. He hasn't.
No,
been using it at all.
because
It's crazy.
he's literally only $5 actual dollars that he bet.
That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Billy. Thank you,
what
Billy.
What he's put into it is $5.
Are we
that
$50,000 is
he's giving up the opportunity to take $50,000, but he's also missing out on the opportunity to win $108,000.
If a genie showed up now, Billy, and just said to you, "Hey, I can either give you 50 grand now, or we can wait and see if Duke wins, and I'll give you 168." What are you doing? Are you saying no thanks, Genie? And
no,
you're walking
I
away?
would take it, but
you take the 50, or you say I'll hold out.
No,
for
I'll
Duke?
take the 50.
There you go. Then that's your answer.
It's easy money, but Tony's talking me into the 168.
By the way, Con Knipple, another guy in the lottery, K2. Very good from the outside, but can mix it in with the big boys inside. Big body. They got Maluk, who's incredible,
Are
too.
you pronouncing those names correctly?
Con Knipple, yes.
A lot of
the other guy, no.
It doesn't seem like Knipple should, but I know it is because I've watched him play, but it just doesn't seem
I saw people being critical of Tony earlier, saying he was mispronouncing multiple names on Duke. Not today, earlier.
Cooper Flag and Con Knipple is exactly how you say it. So whoever that guy is, dork.
I want to combine Spoiler Wednesdays with this current Duke conversation for a moment. Did you guys see that, and this is a White Lotus light spoiler, so fast forward if you don't want to know anything about the most recent
It's a spoiler
episode.
Wednesday. I thought we were allowed to do whatever we wanted.
I'm still
on
giving
Wednesday.
the spoiler alert. Duke was not happy with the usage of their trademark in the most recent episode of the White Lotus, and they released a statement saying, "The White Lotus not only uses our brand without permission, but in our view uses it on imagery that is troubling, does not reflect our values or who we are, and simply goes too far." And then they further talked about, suicide awareness and things like that. But I want to know who the Duke person is that Mike White, the creator of White Lotus, hates. Because the usage of Duke in the last episode is something that, if you haven't seen it on social media yet, is going to become a meme for our times.
All right, let's take this to the poll. Do you believe that Duke will win 4 games? Yes or no?
Ooh.
This poll is brought to you by Evan Williams Bourbon, game day's #1 pour. Evan Williams Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, Bardstown, Kentucky, 43 to 45% alcohol by volume. Enjoy responsibly, 21 and over.
Can we also put on the poll, are you losing $5 or $50,000?
Roy, I can't believe how shitty a poll that is. Like I'm truly stunned by how sports specific that poll is.
My stat of the day starting to look a little
you
better,
guys,
huh?
like I don't know what you guys are doing today, but it's not the height of creativity. I will tell you that. Wherever it is that the magical things get made, they're not being made here today.
You guys don't like that Duke is pissed that they're in a funny meme now?
I love it. But also, I'm not fond of Duke. That's why.
He just really hates Greg
that's
Paulus.
That's why it's funny.
Dude, that's an interesting question. Who is the person? It's Christian Laettner.
You think so? It dates all the way back?
Grayson Allen.
No, it's JJ Redick.
JJ Redick is another good one.
We already had this conversation. Those are the 3 Mount Rushmore guys at Duke. I don't know who's number 4 on annoying guy. Annoying. The secret sauce. And is it Shane Battier?
Shane Battier.
I mean, does Coach K count?
Of course he does.
All right, let's make that 4th spot. So
wait, Mike White's 54. I thought he was a little younger, so it probably is Christian Laettner.
Yeah, Christian Laettner. Yeah.
So we have on the Mount Rushmore of most annoying Duke players ever. Because if what you're telling me, like, man, Cooper Flagg, Boston's going to really want him.
So is Utah. Oh, Utah. Dan. Utah's salivating right now.
Oh, Danny Ainge left everything Boston to go, I'll build you out here. I'll build you out here with Cooper Flagg in Utah.
So you know the Vince McMahon meme of like he's going and he's leaning back. Oh, that's Utah, right? The first one is like, what if I gave you Lauri Markkanen? Oh, that's pretty interesting. Then the next one is
Walker
like,
Kessler.
What if I give Walker Kessler? Oh, and then the third one is, what if I give you Filipowski? Oh, and then the fourth one, Cooper Flagg.
The laser shooting out of his eyes.
That's how it goes for Utah.
Well, you guys are saying, you have to understand, okay? So you've got John Skipper and David Samson asking the question, how do we pay these people and what does it mean if Duke, we're all watching Duke and we're like, whoa, them in Florida, they look a lot better than everybody else. This is pronounced. This looks like they're, maybe somehow Calipari can sneak some Calipari magic in and somewhere, but we're watching there. You tell me if there's a third team that belongs in here, because Duke and Florida to me look like they're a level above between professional basketball and what's now minor league basketball. They seem to be a good deal better. So if I make Duke better at recruiting and better at money than everyone, when I'm walking around now doing the absurd thing of saying, yeah, your roster costs $20 million. That's what it costs in college football. You got to have $20 million. If Duke gets all of the winning and they have a monopoly on annoying guys, right, throughout history, there's no other school. Is there another school that you assign even 2 annoying guys to for a Mount Rushmore in the history of college basketball? Is there another school that you would say, I've got 2 Mount Rushmore, America hated this person? When you're talking about everything that Duke represents, all of it, Redick, Grayson Allen, and Christian Laettner are all-time hated players. I don't even know if we can make those anywhere outside of Duke anymore. Like an all-time hated player because of the school you're at, because we know you're good, because you're arrogant, because you think you're better than everyone, and you slap the court on defense.
Hate that.
Wojo.
Hate that.
Wojo.
So
Oh, you play defense.
Wojo's a good one.
Wojo should be on that
If
Mount
we're
Rushmore,
going with
man.
coaches, that's a different story because I think Dan Hurley has arrived.
Oh, man. He's way worse than Coach K. Way more polarizing than Coach K for sure. I think coaches, actually, there's a conversation. Pitino, people didn't like Pitino. Coach Cal, people really didn't like Coach Cal.
Bobby Knight, obviously.
Bobby Knight.
No, it's easy with coaches.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about players.
Players only?
I'm asking America to give me the program that's got a player that you recoil with the 3 I just named with. That guy just annoys me. It's not because he's a bad person. It's just it's your face. It's your face.
This is gonna lose perhaps a shipping container, Dan. But Indiana and Steve Alford, people really didn't like that dude, man.
The 5'5".
Oh,
it was their shorts.
More than the shorts. Their shoes.
You saw the story about UConn threatening the reporter who posted the video of Dan Hurley, right?
Oh,
I mean, that's some like evil
my guy,
villain shit.
Bobby Mullen, the SID over at UConn, which I love. He threatened him. He said, "I will end you." Right? He says,
"I will ruin you."
I will ruin you. And then they come out with the statement afterward, and it said, "New at 6. SID threatens reporter," or whatever. I'm like, guy, you can't start your apology with shtick, or can you? He did, and I thought it was glorious.
Really quick. I mean, I have a question because you talked about Utah and Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, Cooper Flagg, possibly Filipowski. Could they field an all-white starting lineup?
I'm glad you asked that because just the other night in Los Angeles, the Bulls fielded an all-white lineup.
They scored 150 with an all-white lineup on Luka and LeBron.
That team is so good.
They're fun.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're fun.
So we revealed this on Basketball Illuminati the other day, and it was I was like, is that right? No, I don't even think they have 5 white players, but nope, it was right. They had 5 whites on the floor. It was Matas Buzelis,
who's not bad by the way. They're giving him minutes.
He's pretty.
He's looking good.
I just realized the joke.
Thank you. It was Matas Buzelis. It was
Vooch.
That sounds like you're going to the
Vooch,
bathroom.
yeah.
What happened
Again,
there?
he's looking for the white guys.
What
There you
just
go.
happened?
Giddey, who's been playing
Josh
incredible, by
Giddey,
the way.
Kevin Herter.
Kevin
probably.
Herter, Vucevic, and Kobe White. 5 whites.
5 whites, and one of them actually named White.
There you go.
Well,
that one
4 whites and one's
named White.
Oh, I thought. Wait a minute.
Kobe
Forgive
White.
me. I was going to trade for Derek White.
Oh no! Well, Kobe White's already there.
Yeah, we didn't need him.
But Boston could counter with Porzingis, Luke Cornett, Pritchard, Hauser, and Derek White. White versus White. That would be the great NBA Finals ratings, right?
Can I just examine for a second? I simply want to examine an SID, a sports information director. So this is somebody who is working in communications, who their job is to disseminate sports information. Do you realize how great a threat it is to be able to shout at someone, "I will ruin you"? To shout the confidence you have to shout something like that in public, and the rage that you have to shout something like that at somebody, at a journalist.
So, I know of some journalists who have yelled stuff like that.
I can't think of a single SID that I know in real life that would like fly off the handle like this. Like, the job of the SID is also to make the team look good and to like make the players look good, to have media relations where they're like, "Hey, we're the good guys here. We didn't do anything wrong." And he's like, "I'll ruin you for posting a thing that actually happened that we all heard."
When your job is to disseminate sports information that you don't want disseminated.
That's why I love his apology, because it starts at the sarcastic. New at 6. SID gets angry at reporter for saying something. That's how he started his apology. Like, I went off the handle a little bit, but first, some shtick.
So good, though, that "I'll ruin you." Hurley is, and gosh, I love when these coaches are content machines. His arrogance is earned.
Of course.
And he knows it. Like, he speaks it. He yells it at referees, and I'm stunned to see it, because Belichick didn't behave that way. Like, there have been people who have been as great as he is, and he descends from coaching, so he really, like, his whole story crafted by Woj and a basketball family of how it is that they rule basketball in the Northeast because they teach it better. They have respect. The Hurleys have respect. Oh, Hurley's a good Duke-hated guy.
There you go.
That's his brother is a good Duke-hated guy. The Hurley name feels like it's basketball royalty.
It is.
In the Northeast, where they celebrate the whites. There's no other point I wanted to make.